Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us here tonight for Crypto Talk Now, week 2 of our brand new weekly show referred to as Utility Talk Now. But before we get into the comments, the news, all these particular topics in regards to regulation, staking, and so on, let's say hello to our co-host for the day, Mr. Sean, aka the Crypto Smith. How you doing tonight, Sean?
I'm actually doing all right. It's trying to stay positive out there, right? I mean, that's all we can do. We're just going to sit and wait, and unfortunately, watch the SEC fumble through all of this and try to stay positive. So I know it's going to be tough, and it's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff to say the least. Guys, if you haven't seen the thumbnail, I mean, I know it's not super big on the bold text and so on, but just like the title states, regulation, staking, the SEC stance. That's the main topics for tonight, and we have quite a bit to share in regards to that. I'm going to go ahead and welcome a few people, and after that, we have a brief update in regards to Alliance Block, and then we're going to kick it into the main topics of our particular show tonight. It's gonna be a great show. Thanks for being here. Please smash that like if you haven't done so already. I'm gonna welcome a few people. I'm gonna read some comments real quick. Of course, I'm gonna thank Larry, who says, "Let's go, Max and Sean."
Thanks, Larry.
Please hit that like button. Yes, thank you very much. Tim Shea is here. Good to see you, Tim. Says, "Hey." Salamander says, "Hello, gentlemen, the XRP leaders." Well, thank you very much. Good to see you, Salamander.
BitBoy might have something to say about that.
Yeah, true. Mr. Lambo's Crypto Talk is in the house. Can't quite say it just like Larry, but I'll try again. Mr. Lambo's Crypto Talk. Still can't get it like him. Anyway, thank you for being here, Mr. Lambo's Crypto Channel. Let's go. FDSEC. Yes, truly. I would not like this. I'm not big on saying that about anybody, but yes, for them, why not? All right. GS states, excuse me, kind of itchy nose. Good evening. Good to have you here, GS. He's got his, was that tea or coffee? And gives us a thumbs up. Thank you. Sobo's in the house. Fellow educator. Good evening, all. Glad to have you, here tonight, Sobo. And Miguel, welcome back, Miguel. He says, "Hi, bro. Glad to have you here, Miguel. Always puts a smile on my face to see people, whether they come for the recorder, whether they come to the live, vice versa, or people that, liked the show a few days ago, come back recently. I definitely remember you. Thanks for being here tonight." Soba states, "Max, those intros before content, you were doing awesome, creative." Well, thanks. A lot of those are actually from my former DPGmaximus and also MaximusCrypto channels. And I was like, you know what? They're not being really used anymore. Might as well, put them here over here. And I still have quite a few of them. I'm trying to get a few that kind of are on topic. If it's a Jasmine video, like I have some old Japanese themed ones, I try to throw that into there as well. But yeah, I'm glad somebody appreciates that. Thank you very much. Everyone's welcome each other. Thank you for doing that. Again, welcome Crypto Channel. If I forgot to welcome you, I think I did. Mario is in the house. Listen to Ripple by Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. I guess that might be a good theme song. I wish we could play it here. Probably get a copyright strike, though, because of YouTube.
Yes, you would.
All right. 21 peeps, 14 likes. Yes, we're just going to wait for a few more people to come on in. I want to welcome Mr. Brian Dowie. We will share a particular tweet I shared with him or tagged him in the post earlier today in regards to Tether. But good to see you, Brian. I want to welcome Sean Francis. Says XLM project is the start of the new financial infrastructure. Hold on. We're about roughly 5 minutes into it. We will kick it into the announcement here in a brief bit. Star-Lord's in the house. Shout out to the Guardians of the Galaxy, especially Volume 3. I saw the trailer the other day. To be honest, I wasn't impressed with the trailer, and I hope they come out with a newer one. That's just me. I am a fan of the movies, though. Anyway, but welcome, and let me go further down. We got everybody welcoming each other. So good stuff. Let's jump into the announcement real quick, and then of course we'll put a plug in for Sean in regards to his channel. You better darn well believe you better subscribe to Sean's channel, the Crypto Smith. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this. It's just going to be a brief update in regards to Alliance Block. I'm not going to do a deep dive into it yet. You will get a deep dive from me later on, in which I'll try to analyze this particular update in a recorded video. All right, so let me go ahead and pull that up. Here it is, straight from Alliance Block, and this brief update was posted 7 hours ago. Some of you guys have already messaged me in regards to this. So here it is, comes straight from the Alliance Block team. Says Alliance Block's commitment to the community is stronger than ever. The new and upcoming token has already been audited by this particular company here, which is referred to as Omnicia. They are Web3 security engineers and researchers with deep experience securing and optimizing complex smart contracts and blockchain networks. Now, yes, some people asked me, Mike, a few other people, was there a proper audit? I would imagine it was a proper audit. But as far as it being done, there's your particular answer. You can look at this right now if you're not willing to wait for the recording and so on. They had another update that was a little sooner than this one. It says Alliance Block founder CTO, who is Mathis De Vries, will join Think and Dev Twitter space tomorrow. If you're interested in this, it's going to happen at 10:30 p.m. CET. Be sure to tune in for an insight into Alliance Block's next steps. And like it says, all the information is there. Should be interesting. One more thing, and that is, like it states, I want to reiterate this again. With the audit of the new token done, the team is preparing for the token distribution. Information about this will be shared in the next article. In the meantime, here's the latest information about the token snapshot. And that pretty much summarizes just that, this particular brief update. I'll, of course, look more into it. If I find anything important, I'll definitely put it into the recorded video. So with that said, let's go ahead and give Sean a brief plug. We'll kick it back into the comments just for a moment, and then we'll kick it into the actual hot topics of today's show. I want to show you guys this. If you haven't seen it already, you should be fully aware of this, but if you're a newcomer, let's see this tick up to 1.59K or higher. It is Sean's particular YouTube channel, our co-host here tonight for Utility Talk Now. And if you're looking to subscribe to him, that'd be absolutely great. I'm going to show you a few things that he is into. But basically, just on YouTube, you put the space Crypto Smith. It'll take you right to his page. And on this particular page, looks like he has a few, I don't know, I guess those are some old shorts, but look at this. He's got some videos. Cypherium, he's been doing a good job covering that. Years of building to be the king. I didn't have a chance to check out that one yet. You want to talk about that one just briefly?
So I just went back through the archives and kind of showing how long they've actually been out there building. The entire time, nobody even knows, what's going on. It's been, me, I'm into this stuff, and I've been into it for a couple of years, but it really slipped under my radar totally. But just going back through them working with China, the government, a city in China as well. And then, being a showcase service provider for the FedNow system, which, I mean, as of right now, it looks like they're a front runner to really be a service provider for FedNow. So that could be really, really cool. So yeah, I just kind of went back through the archives and highlighted, several things that they've been doing and working on of note.
All right, very, very cool. So there's a little bit in regards to that, guys. You, of course, talked about, a little bit about the whole thing with SEC and, Kraken that we covered here as well. Is the Bank of England really going to use Ripple? Like he says, not so fast. He continuously covers MMAI. Of course, Cypherium covers XLM. Some other particular projects like Pando project, some of these other ones and so on. Go ahead, give him a follow. I'll state this much. He does a very good job in regards to his Cypherium, XRP, and XLM content. Those are the main ones I look forward to watching. But if you're into all this, please help our fellow brother out. Give him a follow. And he also does a live show on his particular platform, and it's every Saturday, and it is at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and is referred to as Straight Talk. And yeah, I mean, I guess you're on basically 3 times a week. So here on Monday, Utility Talk Now. He's also here with us on Wednesday for the Crypto Roundtable, and of course, this particular one on his own platform. All right. Let's go ahead.
So having said that,
yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to add something real quick. And a lot of people don't know this. Not that they're not good subscribers and they don't enjoy your content, but for YouTube to really work, and this goes for all the channels that you guys are listening to out there and that you guys appreciate, if you obviously subscribe to them, right? But liking the videos and actually commenting on them goes a long way in helping kind of push those videos out there and getting a little more popular. If you really like content, subscribe. Obviously, you're subscribed, but like the video and comment on there, and that does help. Like with Max, if you comment on his videos or mine, we can have kind of a back and forth. But all of those things really, really help push the algorithm out there and get your content out to more eyeballs, basically. So, and a lot of people don't know that's kind of how it works. It tells YouTube that obviously somebody likes your video, you have good content, and then the length of the video and the description and the title and all that kind of stuff also goes into it. But from an audience standpoint, I always try to go out there and like and comment on videos that I like, and I can appreciate that because I know that helps that YouTuber out a little bit. So if you guys could do that would be super awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. That does trigger the algorithm a lot better than just somebody subscribing. So if you appreciate the content, please go ahead and do so. Speaking of which, smash that like if you haven't done so already. Let's see if we can tick up to 40 and go from there. Thanks for joining us here tonight, especially if you're new. Consider changing your avatar to something that speaks more about who you are and what you're all about. And again, we appreciate having you here tonight. We're going to go ahead and get back into the comments just for a brief bit, and then we're going to actually get into some of the hot topics. Of course, where Sean is going to start by sharing some of the hot, juicy stuff to share with us tonight. All right. I want to basically maybe recognize a few more people. I want to welcome KK. Thanks for being here, KK. Don't wait for lower prices. Secure your buys now. Again, the power of the DCA. I would agree with that. Unless you're a person and you feel as though, you know what, I've been doing this for many years. I have been like a 90% plus ratio on hitting bottom. If that's you, you got to do what you got to do. But I would definitely agree with that statement. I do have Shiba. I like Shiba Inu. It's one of the few original meme coins that I like to keep, and so on. Cool Cat Crypto's in the house. Welcome, Triple C. And let's see here. Gonna go a little bit further down just to see where we're at. Grizzly Bear Greg's in the house. Thanks for being here, Grizzly Bear Greg. Hopefully you're not having any more trouble in regards to HBAR or anything else in regards to Coinbase. Open Mind is here. Welcome back. Glad to have you here, Open Mind. And Big Watch Dude's in the house. What's up, UTN? I like that. UTN Talk Now. And hey, Sean. He says,
what's up, Big Watch Dude? Appreciate you showing up and the support as always.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, yeah, everyone's recognizing also Tim Shea, the mayor of crypto or the crypto commissioner, whichever one you prefer, or both. Let's go ahead and kick it in. Going to go ahead and share this. And if anything, here we go. Sean's going to talk a little bit about this and take it away.
Okay, so I'm going to start. Instead of all the doom and gloom, right? I mean, and there's a lot of negativity going out there because of the SEC and the lack of regulation here in the U.S. and the lack of clarity. So I'm going to start with some positivity that Brad Garlinghouse, he's the CEO of Ripple, and obviously they're going through the XRP or the Ripple lawsuit with XRP. So he is basically stating the positive things that are going on in the world out there, and then kind of ends it with a little bit of negativity, for the U.S. So I just want to go through this real quick to show you that there are countries out there, and actually quite a few countries that are embracing this and creating laws and regulations and the framework for the companies in their countries to go forward so that they know that they're complying with the law and they're doing the right thing. And as Brad Garlinghouse states, he believes most cryptocurrency companies or projects want to do the right thing. They just, especially in this country, they don't know what that is. They don't know what the frame rails are for regulation and for, basically complying with whatever local and governmental laws there are. So this says, this is just his tweet just the other day. Continuing its history of being tech forward, Dubai just published an extensive new set of tech agnostic rule books for crypto market participants, covering compliance standards, advertising issuance, and much more. So in Dubai, they're really, really crypto friendly, right? And they really see this as a good opportunity for them to be a world leader in the space. So they're doing whatever they can to set those standards, and they do have standards. It's not as if you could just go there and run whatever project you want, whatever scam you want. Like they can be very, very serious. So and Dubai and these kind of countries, they're not a place you go and screw around, because they can be real serious about their punishments. So highlighting that. And then Australia's Treasury looking to reform licensing and custody for crypto and bolster consumer protections, right? And that's what the SEC is supposed to be doing in our country. They recently published a token mapping consultation and looking for public input before updating their framework. So they're actually getting recommendations from public and private sector on how to go forward and what really makes sense for their own country. Again, here's the UK. They're really doing the same thing. In this HMTs, which is Her Majesty's Treasury, I believe, new consultation reflects the government's intent to establish a proportionate and clear framework that allows firms to innovate while maintaining financial stability. Okay, again, a country that recognizes that crypto is here to stay and they need to figure out a way to move forward responsibly. South Korea just did the same thing. They've come out, their Financial Services Commission published guidelines that delineate what would be considered a security versus a payment token, right? And that's what we're fighting on here. And we're getting absolutely no help from the SEC or Congress, for that matter, really. And then lastly, Brazil's new legislative framework. Note the commonalities. These regulators are providing leadership and doing what work that we are desperately missing in the U.S., right? And this is kind of where he leaves it. All of these other countries are trying to do the responsible thing, helping their citizens and their companies, especially their tech-forward companies, come into compliance and basically do the responsible thing, and then give them a framework to work with. Like, hey, this is, if you're a token that does XYZ, you fall into this category, right? If you're issuing, if you're staking and you're issuing yield and things like that, obviously they're going to have a different category for those types of products. And they may be a lot like the US, where that falls into the banking sector, right? And you think, obviously, banks are very, very big here in the US, but they're also very big all over the world. Banks are not going to sit there and allow these crypto projects to pay out, these crazy high APYs and not do anything about it. Like that's kind of where Kraken, got their hand slapped, the $30 million hand slap. And that's, we're going to talk more about that. So that's kind of where I wanted to start it. He's positive about what's going on in the world out there, but not real positive on what's going on in the US.
That's where I'm at when it comes to this whole thing. I'm very positive about what's happening in the world. And I refer to the whole thing that's happening in the US let's face it, it's a horrible thing. It's like the US is absolutely oblivious to crypto. They have to have a person from, this particular project, or this particular person that, majored in the studies of blockchain, which is a thing. I wish when I was going to college, maybe there would have been proper courses, but, let's face it, for a lot of us, right, that wasn't a thing, or maybe it was in its infant stages. We don't even have proper laws that are passed in regards to any of this.
We have no laws. And keep in mind, we're dealing with laws that were based in the 30s, right? And I did a video on this about how, the PC came, the first personal computer came out 45 years after the SEC, after the laws that they're using to apply to crypto were even, made, right? To the SEC, the whole securities regulations. And then now, of course, crypto is 80 years after that, which is insane, right? And they're trying to use the same laws that they used back for orange groves, and they're trying to apply that to crypto, right? It's just clearly it doesn't work. A lot of people know that, but there's an agenda here somehow with the SEC and how they want to bring everything under their control, under their thumb, and essentially call every single token out there security except for Bitcoin at this point, and maybe Ethereum. We're not really sure yet.
You know, it's ridiculous because here's the thing. I mean, especially here in the United States, I mean, you know, we're supposed to have elected officials. You know, think about how Congress is basically set up. You know, you have a representative from this particular district of this particular area of your state and so on, right? You're supposed to represent supposedly the best interest of, you know, that particular area and so on. And the way I look at it, when it comes to crypto, there is nobody really representing our best interest. The one that deemed themselves as the ones who are supposed to represent our best interest, I should say, are basically kind of like ruling with a iron fist, if you will, the SEC. I want to talk about something real quick, and that is this, right? So the rest of the world basically recognizes that, you know, blockchain technology is where it's at. We're going to implement some of these particular technologies and watch it evolve, be innovative, and so on. Of course, when it comes to the United States, that is not the case. You know, like you mentioned the whole thing about, you know, Brad Garlinghouse brings up some great topics here, kind of ends it on a negative note. We always talk about the whole thing with crypto adoption, right? But the whole thing is this. I mean, it's kind of like, as the saying goes, having your cake and eat it too. For me, if we had already like 50% adoption, I know that's a big number, but 50% adoption, I feel as though this would be properly represented here in the United States. But without the right amount of adoption, we have these particular problems.
Yes. So, and that begs the question about how do we get the regulators? How do we get Congress? Right? Congress is the one who comes up with the rules, and then the SEC would be the ones who are going to enforce those rules. And they do have a rules committee in the SEC, and they can come up with certain things on their own. But generally speaking, as Congress has to come up with the initial framework for them to work with. So, and the problem we have now is that the system is so broken. Even the pro crypto representatives that are out there have to really tiptoe around the subject because the big banks are what get people elected, right? And so they're talking about things that are contrary to what perhaps somebody who gave them a bunch of money to get elected, you know, wants them to talk about. So, I mean, I understand the game that exists out there. The problem is that the whole system is broken, and it's going to be we need. Okay, this is going to sound weird, but when Sam Bankman-Fried was meeting with Gary Gensler, right? He met with him, we know of 3 times, and probably other times before that. But they were working with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried on regulation, right? And obviously that was going to benefit FTX. Of course, somehow Gary didn't know that all of this fraud was going on right under his nose. But those kind of things are going to happen in our broken system in order to move this forward. You're going to need, I mean, hopefully a good player, a good actor is going to have to go meet with these people and figure out a way. And even if it gets them some sort of preferential treatment, because that's the way the system works, I think that's really what's going to happen. Some big money's going to have to come in and start throwing, you know, some Bitcoin around at these people to get them to pay attention and to get them on board. So, and we may be a few years away from that. I don't know.
Yeah, very, very true. We're just going to take a brief moment to kick it back into the comments for just a bit, just to kind of have a good balance. I did see that we ticked up to 40 not too long ago. Thanks for joining us here tonight in regards to this particular discussion about regulation, staking, and the SEC stance. This might be actually a continuous thing that we do, but whatever the case be, thanks for joining us here tonight for a special edition of week 2 of Utility Talk Now with my co-host here, Sean the Crypto Smith. I want to welcome Watermelon Crypto Sugar High, as Larry would basically state. Good evening, Max, Sean, and CTN fam.
Hey, Crypto High. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We also want to welcome Coochie Boys, who's in the house. What's up, Max, Sean, and CTN fam? Thanks for being here, Coochie Boy.
Coochie, yep, absolutely.
And here's a statement. And guys, any statements, comments, same thing. Questions, feel free to drop it. Let's read this one. ISO 222 coins are a unique class of crypto that will, according to him, he thinks will surpass other more traditional cryptos like Bitcoin, Litecoin, and even Ethereum. There is really a chance now to capitalize on these CBDCs, or the ones that are tied into. I would agree with you in regards to the ones that are tied into CBDCs.
Yeah, so and that's a good point, obviously, and that's why I think that's why this community exists and is so popular right now, because a lot of people are starting to wrap their heads around that. Like, right, like in 5 or 10 years, do you think Shiba Inu is going to be around? I mean, maybe it will, but I think there's a much stronger chance that these ISO tokens are going to be around much longer than the communities like that. So you just have to kind of put that in your head when you're choosing what to put your money into, right? Which ones are going to last longer? Which ones are going to have legs down the road? So.
Well, speaking of Shiba Inu, Miguel, by the way, thank you, John Francis. He gave you a nice compliment. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Miguel's got a great comment. He says he invested in Shiba Inu, like myself. I'm also an ADA, Jasmine. I'm not in a Shiba Lite. I have to look more into that. Here's my stance in regards to Shiba Inu. I hold a lot of Shiba Inu, over $1 billion. I was taking advantage of the staking with crypto.com before, of course, they ended staking. What was it, in summer 2022 and so on? I think in light of what happened with Terra Luna, also Celsius and so on. But my thing is, I want people to understand, again, it's not financial advice, as the saying goes, but we have to be realistic about certain things. So for me, if I see a significant like new all-time highs for Shiba Inu, and I see a lot of continuous doom and gloom, I may very well choose to just finally, forget the moon bag and all this for the future and cash the whole thing out, possibly, right? The reason why I'm stating that is this, I don't want to get stuck with a bag. They got the saying, not your keys, not your crypto. Well, how about getting stuck with a bag that you can't do nothing with, right? Or holding you can't do nothing with because of the freaking SEC. That would suck, right? So my thing would be, all right, new all-time highs from here. Maybe I take half, hold it for just to have some good cash on hand and so on. Or I do, for instance, what I like to call is a power swap. And what I mean by that is, as the saying goes, you will only get taxed on crypto that you cash out on. By doing power swaps, right, we know about all these particular ISO tokens and coins and so on. So for me, I like to do what is referred to as a power swap. I truly believe in Quant. I truly believe in XRP, XLM, XDC, some of these other ones, right? So if I'm not satisfied at that moment with what I have, maybe I do, like a power shift, a power swap into some of these other ones. And then, of course, when the time comes further down the road, certain ones I cash out on, not completely, certain other ones that I hold onto those particular assets. Long-term assets holds for me are basically XRP, Quant, and so on. But I just want to throw that out there. This whole concept, and this is not FUD, this is just being real. This whole concept of don't take profits off the top with Shiba Inu and just basically, hold on for that penny you dream. All right. That dream might not ever come true. Do not wreck yourself. Pay close attention to what is happening, especially here in the United States. So with that said, we're going to read a few more comments. We'll kick it back into what we're talking about here tonight. GS says, Miguel, I have all those except for Shiba. I don't even know about Shiba. I need to get more into what that is all about. Check it out. Let me know what you think, bro. Okay. I might have to write that down in regards to my particular research. Let me see if I have that research list open. I do not, but that's okay. I'll just go ahead and put it on this other tab. Shiba Lite. Interesting. And what that also said, let's read a few more comments. Cushy Boy states, bills need to be presented to the local legislators to make it to the floor. Yeah, and my thing is March should stand out for that. I think Congress has been pretty consistent. Let's face it, most of us are not exactly big fans of Congress. They have a very low approval rating on both sides, right? It doesn't matter if it's Democrats, Republicans, independents, you name it. Even lower approval rating, maybe than Biden, if I'm not mistaken, which is pretty low in itself, right? But I think we start seeing that in March. That simply makes sense. but that's just my opinion. Brian Dowie states Gensler and Sam Bankman-Fried had phone calls at 2 a.m. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing suspicious at all. Yeah, there's nothing to see here. There's a lot more to that than what's on the surface, I think. River is here. He says, good evening, everyone. Welcome, River.
Welcome, River. Thanks for showing up.
And McDizzle's in the house, a.k.a. Crypto Mike, or as I would say, Crypto McDizzle, fo shizzle manizzle, fo show. All right. I know. All right. Let's see here. Coochie Boy, please cash out, Max. That might be the situation. And another, literally, as you said that, I said to myself, well, there's somebody I know who holds a heck of a lot more, maybe triple the amount that I have of Shiba Inu, and it's this guy right here. Shout out to Selmo Fudd, who's in the house. States Caroline Jasmine Bone. Welcome, Selmo. Glad to have you here. Just going further down. Good option, Max. What up, gentlemen? Shaka Crypto's in the house. You want to say what's up to Shaka?
What's happening, Shaka? You guys should go check out Shaka's. He's got a good channel too. He puts out some really good content.
Yeah, we'll give him a plug. We haven't given him a plug in a long time. Shaka Crypto is in the house.
There, while you're pulling it up, I want to make a point.
Sure.
And I catch a lot of flack a lot of times because I say this, and I use Shiba as an example, right? I don't have anything against SHIB at all. I used to own SHIB. I made some money on SHIB when it made a big move. It's cashed out. I haven't looked back. The problem that I have is not the problem. I mean, for me, it's a good thing. I'm a utility guy, right? And SHIB has no utility outside of crypto, and that's that's my main concern for the future of it. And then also the dev is not doxed. And so for projects like SHIB, which has a fantastic community, they've been doing a lot of really good things, and I'm sure they're going to continue, but they probably won't continue in the US. And that is my concern. So unless you're willing to VPN it and handle your SHIB overseas,
handle your SHIB,
yeah, you're probably not going to be able to deal with it at some point in the next, let's say, 5 years or so, because it'll be outlawed in the US. If you don't know who the dev is, that's not going to be allowed. And if they decide that SHIB and the SHIB token or Bone or whatever they want to decide is a security or some sort of illegal token, then right, it's game over in the US. Right, it can still exist in the rest of the world, but as far as we're concerned, so that's why I use SHIB as an example.
Well, let's use this as an example. All right, let's just pretend, hypothetically speaking, Bitcoin Maxi has just entered into the chat. Bitcoin Maxi basically says, well, contre les marchali. I am a Bitcoin Maxi. Why is he French? He's not French. Anyway, I'm a Bitcoin Maxi. There's this guy. Maybe you heard of him. His name is Mr. Satoshi Nakamoto. If they're going to come after the likes of SHIB, right, with Satoshi Kusama, then they have to come after the likes of who? Mr. Nakamoto. So what would your answer be for that? Kind of interesting.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting play when they come up with that, right? And that's been my question the whole time, is that there are financial institutions that own Bitcoin, that hold Bitcoin, custody Bitcoin. How are you going to allow any of your customers to have that sort of risk associated when you don't know who came up with Bitcoin? Right? We don't know. I mean, some people out there say it's Putin. Some people say it's some nefarious actor out of Saudi Arabia or wherever. We have no idea who came up with it. Right? When we have Craig Wright, who wants to claim like he's Satoshi, which I don't think he is.
I don't think he is either. I was
several other people who want to try to claim that, but we really don't know. And so how could the government say this one's okay and we don't know who invented it or who could be controlling it? But these aren't. So that's, again, it's going to be probably a favoritism type of deal where they play that all the time in the government. So I don't know, but I think that's going to be one of the interesting things to come out of this.
Of course, Putin is Satoshi Nakamoto. I mean, come on, man. ARPANET, the original internet. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get further down. Actually, sorry. I want to just again. Here's Shaka's particular YouTube page, and if you're wondering what he covers, well, obviously a picture speaks 1,000 words, right? He covers MetaMonkey, AI, Volt, the Ocean token, Zilliqa. Yes, I have to give you some props on that. It went up to 3 cents the other day, which was cool. Had a recent pump. Veracity, also like that one. I seen you cover this before, but I forgot the name of the project. And of course, he covers, I guess I imagine that would be Ethereum, unless something changed with that logo. Shaka coming up close to 1,000 subs. That'd be pretty cool if everybody here subbed to him and he ticked up to 1,000.
26 to go. That's not much, man. You're right on the
Yeah.
cusp there, man. You're right there.
Yeah.
Let's get him over 1,000.
He did a recent video yesterday. It says, why buy real estate in the metaverse? A breakdown by the one, the only Shaka Crypto. And on top of it, here's some of his video sections. He has, he even talks about what we're talking about tonight. Huh? How about that? I don't even want to subscribe to this guy, Max, if he talks about some of the stuff you guys are talking about tonight. Well, there's your answer. Crackdown on crypto staking, one of the hot topics of tonight, obviously. Go ahead and take a look at that if you want. Chaka speaks very well if you're not familiar with him. Oh, you're just promoting him because he's your friend and you're cool with him. He's a fellow content creator. Actually, he speaks very well, very intelligently, passionate about crypto and so on. On top of that, I believe he does some lives once in a while. And yeah, he has one scheduled for March 1st for the Pocket Cows live Q&A featuring Toro. I don't know who Toro is. But yeah, check out his particular channel. It is Chaka Space Crypto if you're doing a search, or you could just go straight to @Chaka Crypto. I don't know if he's a big fan of Chaka Khan, and he plays as a theme song. Chaka Khan, Chaka Khan. I don't know, but anyway, check him out. Shout out to Chaka. All right.
He needs one though. He needs that.
Yeah, we all need that once in a while, especially the LL Cool J remix. Selmo Flood knows what I'm talking about. I'm sure he does. Anyway, I'm going to go further down, and we're going to welcome Mr. Stump Rider. Hello, everyone. Gives us a thumbs up. Dabs to us both. Thank you for being here, Mr. Stump Rider. Coochie Boy states he's got 100 million SHIB set aside for both of his grandkids. This is for their generation. Cool. Very good point. Cool Cat Crypto states, but SHIB has a doggy. Yeah. Watch out for that doggy. All right. Let's see here. Coochie Boy. SHIB started with 12 zeros and is down to 4. SHIB will be okay. I could have sworn it was 10 zeros originally. So that's something I didn't know, Coochie Boy. Thank you for that. But yeah, that is a very good point. I mean, and if anything, that created the template, that created the model for a lot of things that we see. Let's face it, most of those are garbage. There's a few that are not bad, but that was the template. That was the model. That was the blueprint for a lot of dog-themed meme coins, tokens. Brian Dowie states, Big Watch. I know Gensler's calendar is public minus a few months. I know it's just pointing towards Big Watch, but I'm going to read it anyway. DAI has mentioned a few times about 2 phone calls at 2 a.m., but I'm not 100% that it happened. But here's the thing. Why can't we have some people to look more into that? Why should these guys just get a slap on the wrist? All right, February 14th, which is tomorrow. If Shibarian doesn't launch, Shib takes a epic dump. Jeez. Might be a smelly one too. Ugh.
So explain to me why. I mean, I know that's who is it that's the developer for
Toshi Kusama. I know I always mix it up with the other guy too.
So I'm pretty sure I read a post where they're stating there is no official launch date. So why are people latching on to February 14th? I don't get it.
Because of Larry.
Oh, Larry. Damn it, Larry.
Because no, I don't know. I'm just joking. Anyway, that's a good question though. And here's the thing. I'll go back to this real quick. I mean, nobody should latch to a date, especially when it comes to meme tokens, coins, and so on, right? Let's face it, guys. Saitama, right? Russ with his particular dates countless times. Like, look, man.
Well, how long did you wait? How long did you wait for Shiba Swap? Right? How many times was that delayed?
That's very true.
Right? I mean, you guys got to. People need to be. I don't even hold SHIB, and I'm thinking, why are people holding on to a date like this, and then knowing the chances of this happening tomorrow are extremely slim?
Well, I don't hold on to dates with SHIB. I've learned my lesson with that. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine for newer investors who came into SHIB recently, that'd be that's a thing. I don't do that. My thing when it comes to SHIB, maybe I'm in the minority, but I think for the people that came in like maybe around the time I did or earlier, recognize that when SHIB has a very, very, very long sideways action for many, many months, and you're counting it, it's like 6+ months, 8 months, and so on. It's that gets them excited because we know what happened before. I know it's a different market, but still, there's something to be said about that. All right, so we know who made Bitcoin. Craig Wright. Okay, you're on board with that then.
Negative.
Okay, let's guess where we agree to disagree. Satoshi is Craig Wright. I promise you. All right. Bull Run, February 14th, 2023 at 5 p.m. Don't forget, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Mark your calendar. Well, it's tomorrow. Some people did. All right.
And you know what's funny is everybody else, there's a whole group of people that's saying it's going to be Valentine's Massacre Day and that the market is going to absolutely tank tomorrow.
Right.
So we'll see. Somebody's gonna be right.
Well, there is that whole
or we may just go
tomorrow.
Or we may just go sideways again.
Yeah. John Francis states, many of these coins are going to vanish. Reminds me of the numerous penny stocks that just perished or had gone bankrupt. Only a small percentage makes good money. The rest get wrecked. Not in that particular voice, but similar. Thank you for that, John Francis.
And we're going to call that straight talk right there.
Straight talk, yes. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Saturdays with the Crypto Smith himself. John also states, I am much more focused on utility, even though it is a battle in the United States presently with the SEC, but just hold ISOs in ledger, not exchanges. Yes. Rich Common Sense Crypto, a lot of people state that over and over. There's a reason why they're doing that. All right. Max says he loves Chaka Khan. I do too. Shout out to Rufus. Little known fact. All right. So my gaming group, DPG, the keyboardist. All right. His name is David Hawk Walensky. Kid you not. True story. Was a huge fan of what we created for Call of Duty 4. So much so in which he would drop us donations. The biggest donation he dropped was $500. I was like, wow. And then when I saw his house, I was like, oh, this makes sense. And then when I saw that he was part of Rufus, I was like, oh, that makes even more sense. But yeah, that's the only celebrity, I guess you could say, that ever had donate to us, which I thought was a super cool thing.
That's cool.
But Max, is he into crypto? I don't know. I tried to get a hold of him a long time ago, not in regards to crypto, just to see how he's doing, but I kind of lost track of him and so on. But he's still friends with me on Facebook. Anyway, isn't SHIB the most traded token by ETH? And for those of you wondering about my whole Facebook status, I mean, you can follow me if you want, but the whole thing is I'm not going to even pay attention to it. I don't even use Facebook anymore, so it's kind of a waste of time. All right, so Coochie Boy, isn't SHIB the most traded token by ETH? Whales, SHIB will be okay. That's a very good point in itself. And I think that's where we have this whole debate. There's one side, it's like, well, regulation. It could totally mess everything up. And then there's the whole thing of, but Max, everybody, ETH whales, right? Here's the thing, though. And as we know, if Ethereum is going to be the next target of the SEC, then that in itself, do I want to be holding a lot of SHIB as they're going after Ethereum?
Here's your biggest tell for if they're going to go after Ethereum. If the SEC wins this lawsuit with Ripple, they're going to be so emboldened. The biggest thing that they can do at that point is try to take down Ethereum. If they can get Ethereum under their thumb, they have the entire market. That's going to be the thing.
All right. Well, this is kind of off script. And how about this? So if I'm holding SHIB, just like a lot of other people, and then they go after them, right? And this is before, of course, SHIB goes to like a new all-time high. We're stuck with holding this bag. It might tank the particular value and so on. Do we say, oh, crap, I should have cashed out this whole thing a long time ago? I mean, I basically did, right? Got into SHIB again. But do you also say to yourself, no big deal, Shibarium? Your thoughts?
Well, if you're holding it, it's fine. And remember, this is only when we talk about regulation like this, it's just in the U.S., right? All of the other cryptos are going to be just fine outside of the U.S. It's just getting to them. How are you prepared to do the things you need to do in order to buy and sell and trade in these supposedly illegal tokens? If they get designated as such, right? So what are you willing to do? SHIB, I'm sure, will be just fine. It won't be fine in the U.S. right? Because if they designate any of these security, and I think people maybe probably don't know, because why would you know this? This is one of those things you normally never deal with in your life. But if they say, let's just say they say XRP is a security, right? And the judge agrees, and the judge says, yep, all XRP tokens in the future are securities. That means a licensed broker dealer is going to have to be the only one who's going to be able to sell XRP. And if it's a private token, right, it's not public yet, so it's not regulated like that. Now you have to be an accredited investor in order to purchase it, right? So unless you have at least $1 million in net worth in this country, you're not going to be able to buy it or hold it. And think about this: you'll never be able to self-custody those securities. Somebody else is always going to have them held in their accounts for you, right? You can't self-custody securities in this country. So it makes those hoops huge. Most people won't jump through them. Most people can't. And maybe that's the whole point. Maybe they want this just so the financial industry is the only one who can purchase this and run with XRP. I have no idea what's going to happen, but when people say, well, how come why just don't they comply and just register as a security and be done with it and move on? Well, because then obviously Ripple probably doesn't really care, because they know XRP is not really for retail, but it makes accessing in the US the XRP token extremely difficult.
Well,
so
here's okay.
It's going to put a real dent in their whole plan.
Hold on, I'm gonna read this real quick. I'm gonna get back to what we're stating in regard. Hey Max, that song referring to his Prince. I was thinking about a song, Ain't No Body. Ain't No Body. Anyway, yeah, 10 zeros. Yeah, I was thinking 10 zeros. So thanks, Mr. Samo. Guys, in the comments, I have dropped the petition in regards to this, and later on, I'm going to retweet this, because when if you're not aware of this is a thing. I'll go ahead and share it on the screen real quick, and then we'll get back onto this particular topic. I know we kind of did a little bit of in and out and some other, conversations, which is good. I think this is a good thing that we're doing. So here it is. This is on change.org. I know some people are not exactly big fans of change.org. I'm not. We had a petition back in 2009, roughly around March, April, in regards to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, to bring back dedicated server support and so on. We had, for instance, I think over 1 million signatures, and the freaking, Activision and also Infinity Ward just gave us a virtual slap and ignored us, and we've been screwed ever since. All right. I know. Get back to crypto. All right. So here's this. It said, fire Gary Gensler as SEC chairman for obstruction of justice and collusion with FTX. They already have, guys. 30,316 have signed this. So it's not like this is just a brand new thing, which is cool. We don't want to just, hey, guys, I just made this new thing. I definitely will sign this. And if anything, I will retweet this out. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm going to basically put that there. I'm going to do it right now, actually. And here we go. There it is. So it's right there. But yeah, check it out. I mean, they have 30,316 signatures. You may feel as though, well, this is just going to get ignored. No one cares. This could have 1 million signatures, just like, your petition for, Modern Warfare 2. This has to do with the financial, sectors and so on. They're not going to do crap, Max. I hear you. But at least it's something, right? Your thoughts?
So, yeah, there's been a couple of petitions, I think, that have gone around for him to resign. This one's just for obstruction of justice and collusion. I know that Congress right now is already starting to send out petitions, or not petitions, but requests for records for his office, all of his communications, phone records for his meetings with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. Like, they want to know how is it possible that you met with this guy multiple times, had conversations, we're actually talking about possible, ideas for regulation, and how did you not know that this was one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in the world? Like, how is that possible? Right? Did Gary Gensler look at all into his company, into the books, right? Ask any questions. Couldn't have, right? I think anybody who looked into any of it would have known that there's something clearly wrong here.
Yeah, clearly. I remember when this whole thing was happening, you were mentioning some of that, like, I think I was mentioning something like, we got to be objectionable. And you're like, hey, man, screw that. There's enough writing on the surface to see that something happened here. What was that, back in November, early November?
Well, remember, and
Yeah.
so remember this, and I don't know if you guys have not seen the interview, but Mr. Wonderful, right? Kevin O'Leary, who I personally don't like any longer.
I don't like him anymore either.
He says, somebody asked him in an interview, like, hey, I mean, clearly this thing was, there was something wrong. There was some fraud going on here. How come you or your team or whatever didn't notice it, when you did your due diligence? Well, he had to humbly admit that he didn't do any due diligence. He assumed, because he was basically involved with some other large investors who were investing in FTX, they all assumed the other person was doing the due diligence and that was looking into it, and none of them did. At least that's the story he's telling. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what he stated in an interview.
Very cool, Mike. Thanks for that. It's going to be a few more. We will finally get back into what we're saying. You're right, Max. I believe that's 10-0 56. That's all right. It's not about a whole competition of me being right or who's wrong. So, but thank you, Kuchu Boy. And also thank you, Selmo Fudd. With the ship devs, dates mean nothing. Can't count 56 as a 0. Very good point. And then let's go further down. I think we saw Blue Whale Ricky's comment about the whole thing about the death cross. We did take a brief look at the market. We'll take a little bit more look into that maybe a little bit later. He states also, only reason people believe the 14th date is because of YouTubers spreading false information. Okay. That heart-shaped box tweet started it. LOL. I will read this real quick. Craig Wright sent a message from the Genesis block of Bitcoin. Only Satoshi could have done that, period. Next topic. Okay. Teaches them.
Well, so how about this? How about the Department of Homeland Security on video stated that they met with Satoshi Nakamoto and that it wasn't one person, it was 4 people that were in California when they met with them. So this is a governmental agency that stated on record that they knew who it was and they met with them. And that it was 4 individuals, not one individual. So was Craig Wright one of those individuals? And why haven't they mentioned him?
Nobody really is going to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear your point of view. I hear
most people. And most
I'm not
people
saying who's right,
don't
who's wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Most people in the community don't believe Craig Wright is Satoshi.
All right. So all in on artificial. Yeah, we cover that quite a bit. I stated numerous times that is a pretty decent swing trade, but some people are into it for the long term now, which that in itself I have to look more into. One more question, and we finally will kick it back into our particular coverage, and that is from Akbar JXX. Welcome. Consider change your avatar. I haven't seen you here before to something that speaks more about who you are and what you're about. Do you think Stellar, XLM, CFTC correlation have their next agenda for crypto? Stellar is very tight with the regulatory now. I'll let you answer that.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they've got an agenda set yet, but clearly they have a step up on every other crypto out there, right? And so, I mean, for me, this is good times for XLM in the future, right? They're going to know, I think, before a lot of other projects or before the public knows what's coming down the pike, right? If there's regulation coming out or the CFTC is going to take some sort of action on anybody, they're going to know about it. So they're going to, they got that front row seat, right? They got the backstage pass. I think this is really going to help Stellar grow much faster than other tokens could with this kind of information and this kind of access. So yeah, I'm super bullish on XLM.
Very cool. Let's go ahead and highlight that. I'm going to go ahead and add this to our, I guess you could say our stream is the term. Here we go. It's going straight from the Daily Hodl. Take it away. In regards to ARK and Invest, Kathy Wood says SEC crypto crackdown great for decentralization, but not so much for what?
Sorry, not so good for us. And basically, she's saying not so good for the U.S. And so this is, I don't know if you know who Kathy Wood is. Most people do in the industry. So she is stating that the SEC's enforcement actions could have negative impacts on the competitiveness of the country's crypto industry. Obviously, because nobody really knows kind of what lane they're supposed to be in. Regulatory differences between nations could push foreign exchange platforms ahead of US-based ones. We've been complaining about this for over a year now, that a lot of these other countries are much further along than we are, and we're just getting further behind every month they don't take action. SEC's crackdown on crypto firms could stifle U.S. competitiveness, giving outside exchange platforms a leg up. So essentially, and I don't want to read this whole article, but they're referring to the SEC's attack basically on Kraken. And I'm just going to say this here, and I hate to agree with the SEC, but I can see where the SEC comes from in this instance, because honestly, this was a gimmicky type of investment that they were offering people, right? You're staking, we're going to give you an APY, and that's a banking, a banking product, and we can't allow that. So I'm not much of a staker myself. I don't give my custody up of crypto to anything or anybody. I don't care what they're offering. So I can see where this comes from. And Kraken obviously wasn't going to fight it. They basically said, okay, you got us. Here's 30 million bucks, and please let us keep our platform, and we'll just take down the staking. So, and that's kind of pretty much where it ended. But she's referring to these kind of actions because there are no clear-cut laws out there for this. And so what's going to happen is this is going to push crypto offshore for U.S. investors, for retail. If you want crypto, right? But that's what I was talking about with SHIB. If they make it illegal here somehow, you're going to have to go into other countries, use your VPN, or do whatever it is you need to do. And that's what's going to happen with the SEC. They're going to push. Basically, if you start making it harder for people to become legal, you're just overemphasizing the illegal actions they could take offshore, and then you have no jurisdiction what goes on. Just like FTX was offshore, it wasn't a U.S. FTX US was their own, but the main platform was offshore.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at also, from what you have right here, the one that really strikes me, is obviously KuCoin. I'm thinking, kind of like what it says right here. It says, so activity moves to offshore exchanges. That's the key thing, offshore exchanges. Like, all right, KuCoin, right? Like, I mean, already KuCoin appeals to a lot of us as is, or even, a couple years ago and so on, because of, the lack of KYC, if you will. That's what appealed to me. I definitely took advantage of the staking that they had there. As far as staking being dramatically different here soon, I mean, I don't really see that being too big of a thing still there over at KuCoin. And go ahead.
I think it will, and they'll come around eventually. Once, if we get this CBDC adoption in the next couple of years, and that's the main thing that's going to move money around, let's say in the next decade, right? It's not going to take effect right away. They're going to have to test it and then utilize it to kind of see where the problems are. But for all of the countries out there, they're going to have CBDCs. They're all going to require KYC, AML, right? They're all going to have to follow a standard that is generally followed right now in the banking industry. So if you're not following that standard, you're going to be kind of kicked off that rail. So KuCoin will eventually have to KYC, all their customers in order to be included in these types of systems in the future. Or you're just going to be kind of, a black market, type of situation like we're considered DeFi right now, right? That's the Wild West, in crypto. But that's not going to last very long. Most of these projects, 98%, 99% of all tokens that exist right now won't exist in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very true. I'm going to kick it back to the comments just for a brief bit, and then we have some more for you guys. Thank you for joining us here tonight. I see some old familiar faces, which is pretty cool in itself. I'm going to go further down, and let's see. Brian Dowie states, don't you think some of the biggest ETH holders are Gensler's buddies? It's a good statement. I mean, I think that could be the case. Yeah, because here's the thing. They in regards to the whole thing with Kraken and so on, right? They said basically, well, we're going to hold off on ETH for a bit. Again, that picking and choosing. Like, okay, all this is not cool with you, but ETH is fine. That's the way I interpret it. And I said to myself, oh, okay, this makes sense, because all these guys off of Wall Street and so on, they hold a whole bunch of ETH. Some of them might be ETH whales for all we know.
Well, you can trace it all the way. I mean, the SEC itself, right? They have a history of moving in and out of the industry. So they get into the financial industry, and then they get in onto the regulatory side, and then they go back into the financial industry where they know everybody and they have buddies. So they get all the inside scoop of a lot of things. And Bill Hinman, which is a huge part of the Ripple lawsuit and the emails that we're trying to get access to, have him interacting with his he's a partner basically in a law firm. Their largest client is Consensus. I believe it was Consensus or the Ethereum Foundation, one of the two. That's their largest client there, and so they deal with Ethereum all the time. So yeah, he's an Ethereum maxi, but he's also a rule maker at the SEC at the same time. He's collecting a $15 million paycheck from a private firm that he's a partner on while he's at the SEC, while he's making rules for other crypto projects, right? Which is why John Clayton filed, because he does the same thing just with a different company, and they also deal with Ethereum, and he's a major holder of Ethereum, or at least deals in that world. And he decided to file the lawsuit against Ripple the day before he left office.
So this whole thing with, what is it called? CFTC oversight, or whatever it is from, you know what I'm talking about? The, was it CFTC? What's the abbreviation? I forgot. But the way I look at it, that's supposed to be like, you know, technically like an oversight. Do you actually see anything, honestly, coming out from all this? Like them actually cracking down even on the likes of Gary Gensler or whoever?
If you can get an upstart in Congress who really wants to make a name for themselves, yes, yeah, they can push some things forward. They can bring some information to light to the public and let everybody and kind of spill the beans. Like, hey, this clearly is some illegal activity, or it's questionable at best, and then maybe something happens. But you got to think, just like cops, right? You got police officers out there. Nobody wants to tell on each other, right? They got that good old boy network. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of thing. And so they don't want to bring any negativity to any of these government agencies, or else maybe somebody will bring some negativity on something they've done. So that, that's why you never see these kind of people really have to pay the price. I think it goes all the way up the chain.
Yeah, it truly does. And which, of course, brings this up. And we shared this the other day. It's kind of like on topic of what we're talking about tonight. Shout out again to, Crypto Mike. So if you guys weren't here the other night, it states right here, it says, since Gary Gensler won't abide by his own policies to come in and talk, the House GOP will hold him accountable. Today, as promised, our oversight of the SEC Gov begins with a request of documents surrounding their interactions with Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX. Again, a little bit kind of like what we just mentioned here tonight with Sean and myself, right? So, I mean, you have this whole thing. I'll blow it up a little bit more. And this basically, I know you guys commented about this, I think, yesterday on Super Bowl Sunday, the whole thing of like the Honorable Gary Gensler, give me a break, right? So, this was handed out. I mean, I guess apparently this was on February 10th, right? We didn't break the news out on February 10th, but it says, Dear Chairman Gensler, has all this particular information. The quick gist is, like it says right here, the night of Sam Bankman-Fried's arrest, Gruber Gruwall, the SEC's director of the Division of Enforcement, released a statement praising the arrest and announced that the SEC authorized charges against SBF. On December 13th, the SEC filed charges against SBF for, quote, concealing his diversion of FTX customers' funds to crypto trading firm Alameda Research while raising more than $1.8 billion from investors. So at least we do recognize, or the people who are fans of the Republicans and so on, that somebody is trying to get something going in regards to all this. Now, I want to see some particular updates. I mean, I understand that's just as February 10th, but if we're going to be taking a look at, for instance, the Hinman emails and all these particular things, we need to take more of a deeper dive into these specific things. Your thoughts on regards to this particular?
Well, yeah, I think that's what I was talking about. They want to see information. They want to start to see, and maybe hold him accountable for whatever they can. I know they're getting a lot of pressure. There's a big community out there that's putting a lot of pressure on these guys to, like, hey, clearly there's something wrong over here that you guys are completely missing. Right? Here's the data. Here's the information. Here's the timeline. I know some of the like DIA, and there's some other crypto influencers out there that are fairly large, obviously clearly much larger than I am, that send this kind of information to Congress constantly. Like, hey, here's the legitimate, verifiable timeline of things that happen and all of the things that can back it up. And they send it to them all the time, trying to get them to, look at it. Like, there's clearly some activity going on here that, even if it's maybe not illegal, it's clearly unethical, and those kind of things can't be allowed. And somebody needs to call it out. So, and I think hopefully that's what's happening here, and maybe we're gonna hear something on it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I got you beat, Mr. McDizzle. Hold on a second. I'm going to make sure I got a highlighted comment. Let me see where we're at. So I'm actually going to highlight this just as a reference. And if anything, I'm going to go down to the super chat. Thanks for the $2 super chat. We are on page 2 of this, so I'm glad that you pointed that out. I will try to maybe copy the image and make it a little bit bigger. Give me just a second. So, yeah, this makes it a little bit bigger. Whoa, a lot bigger. All right, so let's talk about this just for a brief moment. So here is page 2 of what we were talking about. It goes on to mention some of this right here. Presumably, the SEC's Division of Enforcement did a complete investigation into the actions by SBF and presented the findings into the Commission for its review to authorize the charges. Yet the timing of the charges and his arrest raised serious questions about the SEC's process and cooperations with the Department of Justice. The American people deserve transparency from you and your agency. For those reasons, please produce the following, which is 1, all records and communications between and among any employee in the SEC, so on and so forth, right? All records of communications between and among any employee in the office of, Chairman Gensler and so on, other people involved with him with the SEC and so on, referring to related charges filed against SBF. On top of that, number 3, all records and communications between any among, or I should say any employee of the SEC, kind of like a little bit what I just mentioned and so on. They're saying that Gensler doesn't have much longer to comply. He has no later than 5 p.m., I imagine Eastern time, on February 24th, right? When that's like what, not even a couple weeks away. The Committee on Financial Services has jurisdiction to oversee, a little bit about what we were talking about earlier, who has the jurisdiction, who's the oversight, right? So apparently it is the Committee on Financial Services that answers the question, has jurisdiction to oversee the activities of the Securities and Exchange Commission pursuant to Rule X of the rules of the House of Representatives. And of course, there you have it.
Yeah, get them. I mean, and you know what they can do. Obviously, they can delay. They can give up partial records. They can do a lot of things to really slow this thing down. So it's going to be some time, I think, before we really get any information. Any solid information, to say the least.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it too. I will read this particular comment. And by the way, Mike, thanks so much for the $2 super chat and also your extended research and so on. I will state this. I mean, I think, it's good for us to have objectionable back and forth conversations. I will remind people, do not attack the messenger, just attack the argument. All right. Thank you very much. B. Ricky states, SHIB has too many coins in circulation to reach close to a penny anytime soon. But they have massive burns. But again, that's my whole thing. If there's going to be a bombshell dropped, or the SEC going after Ethereum or whatever the case be, which is going to tank the price of SHIB something fierce and other ones like it, I just, like a lot of people, don't want to be stuck holding that particular bag. Now I understand the other side of the argument, right, which is Coochie Boys, and that is, there's something to be said about ETH whales. But again, just pay close attention to what happens with the market and so on. You guys are definitely doing that, which is good. I want to go further down. That's why you diversify, Max. I am very diversified. I originally had a little over 50. I have roughly, I think, about 48 now on my particular list in my portfolio of different projects I am in. But yeah, Coochie Boy's right. That's why you diversify. We are in at least 3 projects in 5 different sectors. Very cool. Verlin21. I haven't seen you here, Verlin21. Looks like he is a Detroit Lions fan. Shout out to, in my opinion, one of the greatest of all time, Barry Sanders. Excellent price prediction, peak bull run, not looking for financial advice. You want to comment on that real quick?
So I'd say at this point, anything peak bull run, next bull run cycle is, shoot, I just lost it. I was trying to look up what the all-time high was. I think it hits all-time highs.
Okay.
If it goes beyond that, obviously we're just guessing, obviously at this point, but and that's going to depend on the particular market, what's going on in the world at that time. If we got, are we fighting, alien balloons still, or creating wars all over the world? Like what's happening at the time?
69 cents for X alone. I mean, come on, we can beat the heck out of that.
I'd be fine with. 69 cents sounds nice right now.
Yeah. Also depends on how many you hold. All right.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But my thing is I'm that is a long-term hold for me. Binance is going down. So B Ricky, you believe that they're not too big to fail. They're definitely going to go down. Okay. All right, let me go to this particular question. If most crypto is classified as security in USA, would you move to a crypto-friendly country? Depends. Like, I mean, if you're a person in which you do very, very, very well with crypto, I guess for me, my answer would be yes. Again, it just depends on the situation. I mean, if you're I should say a brand new investor, but I mean, like me, I mean, you guys have heard my story, right? 10K became 120K. Was that enough for me to want to move? No, not yet. But if I continuously have some good plays, like I believe in these ISOs and so on, I believe in the QFS and whatnot, I think our moment is going to happen. Then if that's the case, this might be a question in which I may have to consider. I don't like the idea. What are your thoughts? Because I'm sure you've thought about this as well. You're obviously into XRP, XLM, Cypherium, right?
Yeah, that obviously, I mean, it's very dependent upon everybody's situation. You have to have money first. Do you have a family? Are you raising kids? Are you single? That makes it much easier. What kind of a job do you have? Or are you independently wealthy now because of your crypto holdings? These are all things you got to consider. Me, moving outside of the U.S., yeah, that's a tough one. I know there's plenty of nice areas out there in the world, but you don't get usually the same things you get here. That's a hard one. I couldn't say yes or no at this point.
How about this one? Here's something we haven't discussed for a while or ever. What about those with dual citizenship? So, for instance, let's say, like my mom for the longest time. I mean, God bless her. I mean, she passed away a few years ago, but I mean, she had dual citizenship. Philippines, United States. A few of my cousins, for instance, had dual citizenship. Canada, they live in British Columbia, right? Vancouver, Victoria Island. What about people like that? It's like, so how do you go? Do you make everything on your KYC? Like, I imagine something like, all right, I'm gonna get an ID, obviously, from, let's just throw out British Columbia, right? So I had dual citizenship. It's my cousin, basically. Here's my ID showing I live in Victoria Island, British Columbia. All right. And you guys want me to take a picture for KYC on this particular change, whatever the case be. All right. So I go based off of that. Then I guess I just start stacking my crypto or whatever. I mean, what are your thoughts in regards to dual citizenship?
Well, yeah, I don't know how that, honestly, I just don't know how that would work, right? If you're, depends. I mean, if you have a dual citizenship, but you're living in that country that allows, the crypto, you're fine. If you're here in the US, right? Obviously,
But that's
a
the
lot of
whole
things are
thing.
going to
You
get,
still live in US. So, I mean, are they going to come after us? Going to be like, well, you're still technically American citizen. I mean, where does this thing end? Is where
well,
I'm
the
going with
problem
it.
is how are you accessing it? Are you trying to circumvent the laws in order to still play with crypto? And as a citizen of the US, you would be particularly banned from doing these certain activities or these certain, companies or whatever, right? Like just like in certain states, you can't access certain crypto exchanges. I know New York is highly regulated, and there's a lot of them they can't get on, right? I'm in Idaho, so I think there's a couple. Obviously, I can't get on Binance. Nobody in the U.S. could even get on Binance because Binance won't allow it. But at that point, once they start really cracking down, they'll limit you based on your IP address, right, and your
Yeah.
location. Like you won't physically have access to it unless you break the law in order to have access to it, and
I just think
that's where they're going to get you.
I think it's just a lot of people are going to take the, I'm not trying to turn this political, but like the Bill Clinton route where like I did not have XRP relations with that cryptocurrency. Miss
Well,
Lewinsky, like
there's your
what I mean?
problem though. The
Yeah.
problem is that blockchain is public. They can see that, they can tie it back to certain wallets, right? That it's not that hard for them to do. They have a department who's doing that, right? The IRS is doing that. So it's not going to be that difficult for them to track
Yeah.
you down. You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
government wants something, they're going to get it.
It's just the whole thought of having to jump through all this red tape. I mean, think about how much bureaucratic nonsense there really is in our country to begin with, and then just to add this to it. I mean,
or what if they just do it from
ugh.
a simply a punishment standpoint, making the punishment so bad that it's really going to make you think about what you're doing and where you're doing it.
And then, of course, this fuels the debate of these guys at the top, Sam Bankman-Fried, so on and so forth. They just get a slap on the wrist. They get slapped on the
100%.
wrist,
100%.
and we, as the guys on the bottom, that's always the case.
Yeah,
always the case.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
Yeah. I think we talked about this. Did we not? Excellent good return when case is over because half supply of XRP. Yeah, we didn't talk about it. So the way I look at it is, yes, we know basically that XLM actually moves with XRP. I mean, if you look at this, some of the charts for the past and so on, that's to me that's a given. Could we agree on that one?
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that. It's the only issue with XLM. Obviously it's speculative at this point because XLM really, you don't see a lot of well publicized, real world use cases right now. Plus, it's also a, gosh, what is it? I know it's not normal. I know it's a shit. What do I want to say? I forget what I wanted to say about it. But yes, no. If you look at the chart, it's going to run with XRP. But if you're suggesting that because it has a smaller market cap, it can run more, I mean, I don't know. Once utility hits, if we're talking about speculative, yeah, that the market cap might count, it might mean something. But when utility hits, the market cap doesn't mean anything. But yeah, that's why I have both,
sure.
right? Yeah, just in case it runs first or it runs second, it doesn't matter to me. I got both.
Well, how about this? You're Cypherium. This whole thing, like your debate about, to think that Ripple's going to handle all of it. Then there's like, oh, well, hey, there's this guy named Cypherium, if you will.
Yeah.
And they have a main net. They also are officially recognized by FedNow payment. This is all the things that got me like, oh God, I can't believe I'm on board on another one. My bank account.
You thought you were done, right?
Yeah,
you thought you were out. And they pulled you back in.
It's just like my bank account takes a hit. I'm like, well, I got to justify some certain things, and you get kind of creative. Then you get hit with medical bills, and it's just like, come on, I want to stack more crypto, but that's real life anyway. Anyway, 100K in SHIB, it deletes 10 is 1 million. Yeah, that's a very good, very, very true statement. Shout out to anybody who got into the likes of SHIB in its infant stage. My goodness. All right. Verlin 21 XRP and XLM run together. Yep, we stated that. All right. We'll read a couple more here. We might not be able to get to all the comments tonight. I'm just going to state that. I hope nobody takes it personal or anything like that. Hopefully you enjoyed this particular show. Smash that like if you haven't done so already. Thanks for joining us here tonight at Crypto Talk Now for Utility Talk Now, live with myself and co-host for the day, Sean the Crypto Smith. All right, Verlin 21 states, yeah, I'm just saying return on investment should be higher on XLM because of market cap and supply. What do you also think of that? I know I hit you with a lot of questions, but I know how I think about it. But that is a good question.
Well, if it like, and I said, if it runs because of speculation, and it's not a utility run yet, then yeah, that makes sense. But I think both of them going back to their all time highs is your first step. And that's, like I said, I would love to see them both at that level. And then, then you're in price discovery after that, depending on, what's going on in the market.
I know this is supposed to be utility talk now. And, we're kind of on some of these other ones like SHIB. I want to read this real quick and shout out to Kuchu Boy in regards to this. I totally agree with him on this. And I want to elaborate just for a brief moment on this. So he states, too many people get caught up in the 1 cent thing, or let's face it, the 1 cent dream for Shiba Inu, and forget about, only percentage managers and so on. Here's the thing. I believe, and people might be in the minority about this, I believe this is a good thing. And the reason why I believe that people buy into the 1 cent dream, who is the majority of those investors? They're new investors. They just, for instance, came in. They don't know squat about crypto. They don't understand circulating supply. They don't understand tokenomics. They don't understand, anything about the supply. Nothing. All they see is, I could buy a lot of this for super cheap. And then the 1 cent dream happens. They bust out a calculator, like myself. Like I was new at one point, right? We all were new at one point. Let's face it. And you literally say to yourself, my God, like for me at the time, oh my God, I put 8K into this. I can get myself a billion of these things. If it hits a penny, that's what they're all saying in their head, like big dreams. If it hits a penny, oh my God, I'm going to be worth $10 billion. It's a half a penny. I'm going to be worth $1 million. Right. And I think if anything, that's a form of FOMO. And let's face it, if you hold the asset already and you're already up, like I'm still up, right? That is a form of FOMO. And for those who already hold the asset, that is a great thing. And that is what is so appealing about the likes of SHIB. And it's the accessibility. You have a whole new wave of people. Maybe they just came from Robinhood. Maybe they come from anything.
All right. I'm going to have to stop you there. I want to have to stop you right there. So
they come in. Yeah, they're new.
I get you're talking about they're coming in because of that 1 cent dream. People are putting out false hope, right?
Well, whatever the case be, just new investors, they look at that. And then
right. And that's the thing that really, gets people's attention. Right. And so there's your hype, right? There's your hype that gets in. Here's the dream. Yeah. Here's the downside of that. The downside of that in new investors, right? They've looked at crypto before, or they've heard stories, right? They're expecting them to be a millionaire in a week. And when a week goes by and it hasn't 10x or 100x, they're not happy. Now they're bored. Right? So what do? They sell, maybe at a loss, and go on to some other, hypey token that everybody's saying, oh, it's going to hit $1, it's going to hit a cent, it's going to hit whatever. And they buy a billion tokens for a little bit of money.
All right. I see where you're going with this. Yeah. I'm with you on that.
They lose more money. They lose more money. And then now they say crypto's a scam.
That is a good point. That is a very, very valid point. My other thing is this, though. Okay?
It goes both ways.
It does go both ways. It does go both ways. But here is the thing, Sean. Look at the statistics for Shiba Inu. All right. One of the big things, it has a very, very high hold ratio. That's a key thing. Yes. And so with that said, that is very appealing for even the person like me who has over 1 billion of these things, where I say to myself, and I even talk myself out of this quite often, Max, darn well you haven't hit your quant goals. You haven't hit your XRP goals. Well, I think I hit my XRPs. I haven't hit my XDC goals. I haven't hit some of these my other goals. So am I realistically going to put more thousands of dollars into SHIB? And that's the whole back and forth thing. I keep looking at kind of like what Kuchu Boy was mentioning, like, well, what about these ETH whales? There's something to be said about that. What about these ratios, 90% and so on? Yes, this is utility talk now. You guys are not talking about the ones with utility. Why are you talking about Shiba Inu? Hear me out for a second. There is some utility, right? The whole thing is Shibarium is supposed to be what brings the utility. But it's just a great conversation. I do appreciate it. I see your point of view, Sean. But that's where I'm stuck with this whole thing.
And I tell people all the time, just because you made money into a particular Inu coin or whatever it was, doesn't mean it was a good decision, right? You made a bad decision and you got lucky. And that's what happens. And look, I've done it myself multiple times. I've gotten greedy and be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to throw a couple $100 at this, hopefully. And some I've made money and a lot I've lost money. So, but like I said,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean it's a good decision. I have no ill will towards SHIB at all. It's just, for me personally, there is no real world utility for it. Therefore, at some point, it's going to kind of get left behind. It has a huge following. I get it. And I'm not saying you can't make money in it. And I hope everybody who's in it makes money. But just for me and my personal taste, it doesn't hold any real utility. And so, like most other tokens, unfortunately.
We're about an hour and 25 minutes into the show. I think this is a great statement. This gets brought up a lot. Before we get Sean's response to this, I want to state this real quick, and that is, some people, for whatever reason, maybe because they're new, I don't know, they look at stable coins as, oh, it's not a stable coin unless it has a 1-1 pegged ratio to the US dollar. I don't think, there's other forms of stable coins. Your thoughts in regards to this statement from Brian Dowie? XLM could be a stable coin. I believe it is.
Well, the status that XLM has, it would have to be pegged to something. So what's it going to be pegged to? Right. And of course, it doesn't
Some people
have to
say
be
silver.
It doesn't have to be pegged 1-to-1 to the dollar. It could be pegged 100-to-1, right? It could be pegged 1 XLM to $100. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean $1 to $1. Because I know that argument's been made for XRP. That could be a stable coin in the future. And maybe it will, or maybe it just won't fluctuate as much, but it'll be at a much higher price. So it could be at $100. I don't know what it's going to end up with in 20 years. Maybe it's $1,000, but it could be pegged to something that has that kind of value. We know that algorithmic stable coins are a no-go, going forward. They're not going to be accepted. And if you can't back up your holdings and your reserves, and this was one of the other things I was going to talk about, is that where's the I don't know where my other thing is, but basically now you're going to have the competition out there where, like, Circle, this was a topic that I looked at today. Circle filed a regulatory complaint against Binance in 2022, right? Complaining about the reserves weren't proper, or they were mishandling. Let's see, what does it say? A report alleged the mismanagement of token reserves prior to the lawsuit being filed. Okay, so now this is another stablecoin who's basically tattletelling on somebody else, kind of like what CZ did to FTX. And basically, why? Because they want to squash competition, right? Obviously, BUSD is a huge player, and now and a lot of people think Circle USDC is going to be the biggest player out there. So, and this goes to compliance, where if you can find just a little bit of wiggle room to get some competitor into legal trouble, that this is your way to win the race. I think it's kind of shady, but whereas USDC is run by, I believe it's run by Coinbase. They're a major player in that. So I don't know. It just didn't smell right to me. This going on, but like this whole CZ and FTX thing, where he kind of said, well, I kind of took a little look-see behind the curtain, and it's not right over there. So it kind of blew that thing wide open.
Yeah, he sure as a heck did, and it blew everything wide open.
Yeah,
My God, It was like Nagasaki and Hiroshima,
and then we all lost money.
It's funny I mentioned Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So it's like Terra Luna was like, I guess you could say the Hiroshima, and then anyway, it was just two massive, as you guys would say, black swan events, right? So all right, I'm gonna go further down. You knew he eventually was going to come, and boom, there it is. So he's referring to what you were stating earlier in regards to, I guess, the whole thing with Mr. Nakamoto, DHS, they lied on Stop Bro.
I understand the argument, and no, I mean, the government wouldn't lie to you. Why would they lie? I don't get it. Obviously a joke. So my point is that there's conflicting stories, right? And there's also a story, I think, that was put out. I looked it up here, and this is as of January 7th this year, that basically is claiming Craig Wright never did sign the Satoshi Bitcoin address, right? That could verify him as Satoshi. Like, so you have conflicting arguments for it. So to me, he's never proven himself. Whether he is or not, I guess it doesn't really matter. The government would have to recognize him as the owner or founder of Bitcoin.
I need to take a moment to basically just say thank you and recognize we have 60 wonderful, beautiful people, as Larry would say, that are here tonight. If this is your first time connecting to Crypto Talk Now for Utility Talk Now, again, thank you so much for being here. Any questions, comments you have, feel free to drop it into the particular comment box, and hopefully we can get to that. If you're a person that doesn't have an avatar, consider changing that to something that speaks more who you are and what you're about. But again, thank you for being here tonight for Utility Talk Now. I think we covered this a little bit with what you basically said. Let's try to, keep it clean for the most part, guys. Respect each other in the chat. That's all we ask. I mean, treat others how you want to be treated. This is interesting. A lot of people have stated this before. Some people think that, it could be Elon Musk. I've heard some people say that, who is it? Mr. Kusama might even be Elon Musk, or could be a combination of Vitalik Buterin and Elon Musk working behind the scenes. I've heard all sorts of different ones about that. Big Watch Dude states, "Hey, Sean, I don't understand why that Department of Homeland Security story doesn't have more legs. It's several months old now."
Yeah, I think it's more than a year old, but who knows why? I mean, look at Cool Cat Crypto. He's got a point, right? They lie all the time. They do. I'll concede that. But to me, it was just they're conflicting stories that don't prove anything, and they're not naming right who they met. They said they met 4 people, and they're not giving any names, and who knows why. Let's assume they're correct and they actually did. Do they have some sort of legal agreement with those 4 individuals that they can't name them? I don't know, right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me if they know who it is, why we can't know, right? Why can't we know? What's the problem of us knowing who it is? If it's Craig Wright, right, and he can prove it, then what's the harm in us knowing? But like I said, the government at some point will have to acknowledge that he is, and there's going to be a ton of pushback from people who say, no, he isn't. So that's going to be problematic also. So like I said, it doesn't matter if he is or not, or who it is, as long as it's not Putin, right? Yeah. The leader of North Korea, Kim Jong.
Oh, God.
Which I can't imagine him. I don't think he stops eating long enough to do any coding.
Hey, activate that meme from The Office. It's like, God, no, please, no.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
At Sean, wow, man, you have a lot to learn about the government if you believe that nonsense. Says Triple.
Yeah, I'm pretty new, Cool Cat. There's not much I know.
All right, Verlin 21. XLM has used almost 0 of their advertising budget as well. Don't worry, Craig will make it very clear who he is before the year ends. Okay. Then you will all FOMO into BSV like there is no tomorrow. Write that crap down, says Triple C. Okay. All right. Let me go further down. Excuse me. Congress doesn't understand crypto. All right. Let me see if there's any specific questions before we kick it back into a little bit more of what we have. I guess I'll read this real quick. Welcome back. Hi, Online 444. What are your thoughts on when the next bull run will be? It seems logical to think it will be closer to the Bitcoin halving event. I think we talked about that a few times. You yourself, you don't really have a set date, do you?
Well, I don't have a date. I think
a date, like a range. I should say date.
Well, for me, I think we could see a mini pump, a mini bull run if Ripple wins the case, or at the very least, if XRP has clarity when this thing is over. And now we're expecting something from the judge by the end of next month. That's what the legal experts are saying. But we don't know if that's going to be, she's made a decision or a ruling, or it has to do with the Hinman emails, being released or not. Like we're not sure, but everybody seems to think, the end of next month. And I don't know why, it's the end of March. They all seem to think that we're going to hear something.
So a lot of things happen in March. It's kind of a weird month. Anyway, let me see here. No one believed that prediction, Larry. Not even Mr. You got some French fried potatoes right there. I recognize that avatar. That's a great movie, Sling Blade. You know what? Shout out to Edward Vincent. If you're watching, you do the best of the Sling Blade impersonations. What is that guy's name? Obviously, I know the actor's name. I forgot the character. Anyway, let's go further down. And I think we're not going to be able to get into all of the comments tonight. So I hope nobody is going to get upset about it. If you do, then, I don't know what to say. I mean, life goes on. Rayan, is it because I said stablecoin? All right. Let me see where we're at. I'm going to bookmark this particular spot right here. Let's get more back into it. I'm going to actually show you guys something here. But actually, I think Sean's got something for us real quick, and then I'll kick it.
I'm just looking to see what else.
You want to go ahead and share that
we didn't really get into the Paxos situation, did we?
No, is that what you got right there?
Yeah, I've got just some info on.
All right, that's fine. Let's go ahead and do that.
So now we know New York regulators basically are saying that they have an issue with Paxos basically creating BUSD, right? And it wasn't initially known whether they were saying this is going to be a illegal security type of offering. But they made it well known. Why is Paxos under investigation? And this is New York. I don't even know what that stands for. Refused to deliver specific comment regarding ongoing investigation. But their probing is part of the department's initiative to protect consumers from risks of cryptocurrency, right? That's their overall view. Cryptocurrency is risky. We have to save you from yourself. Paxos became the issuer of BUSD, a dollar-pegged stablecoin partnership with Binance, of course, in September 2019. It's the third largest stablecoin by market cap. Paxos is also the issuer of USDP, which is Paxos dollar. So when this all started to come out, basically Paxos decided that they're going to stop issuing BUSD. Like they're done. They're domiciled here in the U.S. They know regulators are coming after them. And they know they want to make sure regulators here in the U.S. For stablecoins to exist, they're going to have to prove their reserves, right? 1-to-1 or better, prove those reserves. What do you have? And it can't be some crazy, other risky assets also in reserve, right? That doesn't work. So, and I know they were having issues with USDT at some point, saying that we have 40% in commercial paper, but they didn't really know where that was or what kind of commercial paper it was. So there's a lot of questions around the reserves of these stable coins, and that's going to be a key factor in stablecoin regulation going forward. So now they've decided. This is why BNB started taking a dump today because of this announcement. Now it doesn't mean they're not going to honor their responsibilities to everybody who holds BUSD, right? You're still going to be able to get out of it. You're still going to be able to sell. But I think it was like almost instantly like a $300 million sell-off, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the info you got. But it's pretty big news. I mean, it was pretty big news for BUSD, which is huge.
Everything that is being brought up in regards to stable coins are a big deal right now. Earlier, I shared this whole thing in regards to Tether. I even tagged Brian Dowie because Brian Dowie's always mentioned the whole thing about like he feels as though it's not that he's rooting for it. I mean, let's face it, none of us are rooting for another Black Swan event. If you are, then like what the heck? But anyway, yeah, for the most part, none of us are really rooting for that. But what I was going to state is I have this particular one. I'm going to go ahead and share this. It's kind of like back to what Sean is sharing here. But instead of BUSD, with Binance, this is, let me go ahead and remove that real quick. This is in regards to Tether. And this is a quick clip. Maybe you guys saw me, share this before and so on. Before I play it, it states, the truth about Tether is slowly coming out. Imagine the bank run this would cause. This gets brought up all the time, literally. I mean, for months now. I think even dating back to before the whole thing with FTX. This is Timothy Masad. He is the Harvard Kennedy School research specialist, if you will, who's talking about this. And if anything, this is only a minute and 21 seconds, but man, you got to hear what is being mentioned here, and then we'll come right back.
Yes.
Except Commissioner Massa, if Tether decides not to redeem, they're not legally forced to redeem because they're unregulated. So if they say, look, you guys want to redeem, your Tether for dollars, we don't have to give it to you. I mean, that's kind of been an accusation floating around for a while that they're not redeeming. So could there be a run on something if you can't redeem it?
But then what happens with other stable coins? What happens with the lending arrangements that have grown up around Tether? What happens then to the Bitcoin market because of the interactions between Tether and Bitcoin? You know, there's twice as much trading of Tether than there is of Bitcoin. And if those things start to happen, you know, what happens to Ethereum and other things when people get very nervous about the whole sector? These things escalate very quickly.
No one's ever gotten into the crypto market saying this is a safe bet and it's not volatile. I mean, that's sort of was not what they've been doing.
Well, that's fair enough. But, you know, when you start to have a market this big, 2 trillion plus overall in the crypto market, there can be consequences to, you know, the broader financial system that we don't want.
All right, so glad to share that. I mean, you know, these are valid points being brought up, and I think this is going to continuously be brought up. Do you feel as though that it's just a matter of time for, you know, even Tether?
Yeah, that's a rough one, because if Tether goes down, like it's going to make FTX look like, you know, child's play.
I'm also looking at it from the sense of volume. I mean, they do about double the volume of Bitcoin.
Well, but that the point is valid that if Tether goes down, that everybody has trust in Tether, right? And they've had it for years because they've been fine. There've been no issues. Now there's been accusations that they're not willing to really give their balance sheet and all of their reserves so that they can be audited, and that's of course a cause for concern, you know, from me also. But if Tether goes down and they decide they're not going to allow people to redeem their dollars any longer, all stable coins are going to fail all at the same time, because you know now you can't trust any of them, right? If Tether goes down, they all go down. Bitcoin goes down, Ethereum goes down. Everything is going to tank like you've never seen, and then we're probably in a crypto winter for another 2-3 years, you know, before somebody figures out a way to move forward with trust, right? That's the biggest factor for getting the masses into crypto is trust, right? And right now we don't really have any trust because we have so many bad actors, and a lot of it comes down to the staking platforms that all look like geniuses when it's a bull market, but the second it turns around, they all look like idiots, and it's unsustainable, and so then they start to fail, and that's why people think crypto is a scam, right? Because everybody looks like a genius, you know, in a bull market, but you know, whoever sticks around and makes it through the bear market, those are the real players.
Speaking of trust and scam, so I got a DM out of nowhere, right? And I'm like, what the heck is this? I know this is kind of a little bit off topic. I'm not trying to be off the wall, but you know, when Elon Musk came to Twitter, I was thinking that, you know, he was going to put a clamp down for the most part on bots, and I think if anything, he's put a little bit of dent in it, but it's still a problem. So I get this DM, and I'm like, who the heck is this? So, you know, Nasser Cardon. I click on this, and it brings me to this, and it's totally some scammy type crap. And I'm like, what is this? I'm trying to review it and so on. And basically speaking, when I look at the URL, it says more dash followers. Really? You want me to have a bunch of fake followers? Yeah, I'm good. It's just, God, man. Anyway, I'm gonna have to block that guy. But
Scams. Yeah, I'm too nervous to even click on a link like that.
no, I won't open it up fully. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna download an attachment or anything. I'm a complete noob, but yeah, I'll have to figure out something with that guy. But anyway, guys, we are approaching the 2-hour mark. We do have some more particular info for you. We'll see if we have any other standout comments. Again, if something get missed, it's nothing personal. I'm gonna go down to this particular one. Big Watch Dude states, hey guys, how come we don't hear MoneyGram /XLM partnership news anymore? I actually posted yesterday. I did a particular video. I showed you one, but yeah, when it comes to anything XLM, um, they don't really post a lot of stuff in regards to even MoneyGram. So that is a good question. I imagine because it's just XLM doesn't want to bother spending anything on marketing. What are your thoughts in regards to that?
So I've wondered the same thing myself, is why do we not hear more? Obviously they're building their ecosystem, right? They're making partnerships. They've got to be doing that, but they're also a nonprofit company. So, and I think a lot of people a lot of people don't know that. So they've got to be ready. Like they've got to have their whole ecosystem set up and ready to go, because they're not going to be able to show a profit. And if they're out there advertising, why are they advertising? What are they looking to gain for advertising? Right? Because they want more people to buy XLM tokens. Well, that sounds like a profitable type of business.
Yeah, it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't
Yeah.
type of scenario. Yeah, I agree.
So and maybe that's the case. Maybe they have a different reason than they're not telling anybody, but that's just the way I look at it, in my opinion.
Right. Bobby Lorete says, "Evening CTM family. Thank you for coming back here, Bobby. Appreciate you." I'm just gonna double check that avatar. That is interesting. Looks kind of fun. Looks like he's having a good time. All right. I think I lost my spot for some reason. I hate when you might have this problem with StreamYard. Even though you highlight key things, it might just drop way down. But anyway, that's all right. Let me see. I think we got some more from Sean here in a bit. All right, so there we are on that particular highlight. Let me just get that real quick. And let me see if there's any other particular. I want to welcome him, DCR135. Thanks for being here. Once we have regulation, we see crypto buying for index funds by major firms will buy tokens or just equity. All right, give me just a second, and then I'm gonna kick it back to you, Sean, just a moment. Let's see here. Here's a good one for Coochie Boy. He states, "Good point, Sean. People think the crypto is safe just because it's in self-custody. If you can't access the server because of restrictions based on your IP address, it's still a zonk." And that's, again, it's going to create even that much more want and need for various different VPN solutions, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. When you take away people's options like that, they're going to find a way, right? And it's probably not going to be the legal way that the government would want you to do, but if you got crypto out there and it's sitting on a platform, or it's sitting in your wallet, but you can't really do anything with it because you're restricted, you're going to find a way, right?
Exactly.
So that's what the whole point of ARK Invest, topic was you're pushing people to go that direction. They're going to look to go DeFi that's offshore, that they have no controls.
Yeah,
that's riskier than anything else. So.
Yep. All right. I'm just gonna get another point of reference real quick, and then we'll kick it back. Yeah, that's gotten brought up quite a bit. I don't have a guess on that yet. And as soon as we get that, we'll definitely report on that. Hold on a second. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight this. And by the way, welcome, Mass Debater. I guess this is in reference to what you're saying earlier. I read Paxos are looking to fight the SEC because they don't believe BUSD is a security. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight as a reference. I'm going to go ahead and add this and go ahead and take it away.
So this is just to show you how bad it is here in the U.S., right? And we know, I know Coinbase said that they want to fight the SEC, about over their staking platform that they have, and now how theirs is real utility and it's not really an APY type situation, but I don't know if they will. But the SEC's own Hester Pierce blasts the agency's attack on Kraken, right? And so this shows you that not everybody at the SEC is on the same page. Hester and a Pierce, I think, is the correct pronunciation there. The SEC's Commissioner Hester Pierce is blasting the agency's decision to attack the cryptocurrency exchange Kraken, forcing the company to eliminate its staking program and pay a $30 million fine. So obviously a letter of dissent. Pierce says the SEC's repeated attempts to regulate the industry through enforcement is bad for the average American investor, right? Why? Why is that? Because instead of giving a platform or a company the opportunity to comply and to come into compliance with what the SEC wants. They're just saying, you know what, we're just going to sue you, and we're going to either try to put you out of business, which is what they told library.
Yeah, I was
in the
going to say library.
case,
Yep.
They threatened them literally and said, we're going to put you out of business if you don't basically settle, with the terms that they wanted. So that's what they're doing. They're the big bully on the block, and most companies, which is why the SEC has a track record of 95% ish settlement rate. Right? They don't have to fight because they have more money than anybody because they have taxpayer dollars. Right? They have unlimited funds. And then they have like this $30 million fine that Kraken paid. That goes into their coffers. They get to use that money to fight other crypto companies. Right? That's what they do. That's how they get their money, or how they get more of their money. So, and then she goes on to write, today the SEC shut down Kraken staking program, counted as a win for investors. I disagree and therefore dissent. And I forgot my point here. What happens to investors, right? If you're on the Kraken platform and you're utilizing these types of staking programs, you just lost money, right? If you're in the crypto industry at all, right, this thing was negative for crypto, you just lost money. So every time the SEC does this and doesn't allow for a fair fight or a fair, let's say, use of the rules to allow companies to come into compliance, voluntarily, that's bad for all investors because it negatively impacts crypto's pricing. And so all retail investors lose money every single time, right? We're going to lose money every time. And they're telling us we're here to protect you, right? We're here to protect you from all of these platforms and these big evil, companies that are going to rug pull. But even though most of them aren't, like Kraken's a solid U.S. company, right, and platform. So that's really what she's saying here. Using enforcement actions to tell people what the law is in an emerging industry is not an efficient or fair way of regulating. Moreover, staking services are not uniform, so one-off enforcement actions and cookie-cutter analysis does not cut it, right? And that's kind of the big statement there, saying it just because the word staking exists on their platform doesn't mean they're all the same, and you can't look at them all the same. Some have utility, right? Some are staked with others to form liquidity pairs. Right. So what is that, a security as well? Like where do you draw the line? Well, they don't, because they've not drawn any lines. To them, if it says staking, oh, that must be a security. Let's sue them and then try to put them out of business. And that's their approach. And so at least there's one person. I'm sure there's more than one. I'm sure the entire SEC isn't evil, despicable people like Gary Gensler, but
yeah.
But there you have it.
It's just like saying, not everybody that works at the IRS are scumbags, or, not
Right.
saying that they're scumbags, but, people don't really tend to like people who want to take so much of your money, right? Your hard-earned money,
Right.
Especially if you're single and you're paying 33 or 35%. Anyway, I want to show you guys something here, and that is basically this whole thing in regards to kind of reiterate the topic of the night. So it's a little bit more in regards to Mr. Gary Gensler, or as you guys would say, Gary the Gopher Gensler.
Oh, Gare Bear.
Gare Bear. This came straight from Masari, and this was actually published today. So I thought, what? Let's have something that's kind of a little bit more up to date. So yeah, shout out to Samuel Wan, who came up with this particular article. The Masari founder accuses SEC Chairman Gensler of foul play. Ryan Selkis called out Gary Gensler on Twitter, calling Gensler a fraud, especially over his links with the banking industry. Interesting. So, earlier we gave you that whole outline, like, there's this whole thing. He was handed, his papers, if you will. And, there's a reaction to that. And he has a deadline. Was it the 25th? Now you're starting to see even more people getting involved and coming after him, which is good. I think this is good. It makes more pressure. But is it enough pressure to basically kind of make this guy feel a little uneasy? And of course, that's the whole debate. I don't know if you guys ever remember the movie The Untouchables. If you remember at the very, very end of that particular movie, spoilers if you haven't seen it, the Al Capone scene, right? You know, it's like you got LENS, right? You know, Kevin Costner's character. It's like, yeah, we got Capone, we got him, and there's Capone sitting right there, and he's just yawning, like, no big deal, right? Because obviously he had the judge in, you know, paid off the jury and so on, right? Is this going to be another scenario where Gensler's just like, yeah, no big deal? Well, let's find out. So it says right here, according to Masari founder Ryan Selkis, quote, Chairman Gensler is a fraud, a destructive force to our capitalist system, and a 100 MMX banker pulling up the ladder at himself, you know, multi-million ex-banker. On top of that, ex-professor from MIT, right? So it states the comment was made following SEC allegations that Paxos committed securities law violations over the issuance of the Binance USD stablecoin. A little bit of a reiteration of what Sean was talking about earlier. On top of that, it says crypto is in the iron sights, as we know, but the whole thing with Kraken. The crypto exchange also disclosed paying a $30 million fine as part of the settlement deal. But why is the SEC specifically targeting crypto? Well, we know for the most part the gist of it. But it states that the SEC wants to pre-clear individual cases using current regulations, according to what you saw here. So it says this particular person, Justin Slaughter, who is a former SEC advisor and now a policy director at Paradigm, he states he clarified his position, saying that he recently became, quote, less sympathetic due to the lack of regulatory progress. Listen to this particular quote. Personally, I was pretty sympathetic to the SEC's position 5 years ago. The questions posed by crypto are hard. Learning about a new space takes time, and it does. Let's face it, we're all on this particular journey. But have gotten less sympathetic since there's been no progress on regulations over that time. Host of the Bankless podcast, who's Ryan Adams, holds a different point of view of the SEC. And, you know, this is good to see different point of views, right? Not everybody being, as Cool Cat Crypto would say, yes, men. So it says this is by design. Selkis not impressed. He states, for instance, he has sentiment in regards to all this. He says, my new goal in life is to end Gary Gensler's political career and make him the reason Biden loses re-election. My God, what a statement, right? A lot of people, of course, for this. Some people aren't, let's be honest. So it says the Masari founder then later tweeted, there's been a lot of back and forth on this, so I thought this was kind of the hot, juicy stuff to share with you guys. Later retweeted his reasons why Gensler is a disgrace. We know multiple reasons for this, right? We don't have to have a particular article, but look at this. Referring to Gensler's ties to banking, his incorrect reference to Satoshi Nakamoto, and the unusual relationship with the SEC had with fraudulent exchange FTX. Yes, thank God somebody is pointing some of this out, because there's something to be said here. You know, back to what Brian Dowdy was mentioning, the 2 a.m. phone calls. This is a real thing. I believe it's a real thing. And I've seen other sources that stated there was at least, guys, listen to this, 2 particular phone calls at weird hours. There's something to be said about that. Now, if you want to check more about this particular article and so on, and for your own reference, I thought it was very well written, and you know, it's interesting to say at least, right? You can get it straight from CryptoSlate.com in its regards to Masari founder who's accusing SEC chairman Gary Gensler of foul play. All right. Do you have anything else that you want to add to this?
Well, I mean, I completely agree with this guy's complete focus right now in his life is getting Gary Gensler out of the SEC. You know, I'm definitely backing him on that. And it is always good to see other people. And unfortunately, you know, I mean, we live in a world, everybody's busy, right? And even if you're in the space, you may not pay attention to all of the things out there. Maybe it's not, you know, maybe XRP or a Kraken or whatever, it wasn't on your radar and you really didn't care about it. So you really don't do your research. You don't dig any deeper. You just hear these stories about, oh, the SEC's, you know, they're acting unethically and not on good faith, you know, to the people they're trying to, or they're allegedly protecting. But once you start, and I think once, hopefully, you know, this is what we're hoping for, as once you get more and more people start to peel back the onion a little bit and get a little more info and go, oh, maybe this isn't a conspiracy theory, right? maybe this isn't just somebody, somebody in crypto who just doesn't like, the regulation that's coming, right? Maybe there are improprieties happening at the SEC. Maybe there is conflict of interest, right? And then they start to dig deeper, and that's going to put more eyeballs on it. That's going to get more people interested in it, and then, kind of add that the reality to it that there's something wrong here that needs to be investigated. And we hope somebody's actually going to do the right thing and investigate it.
Yeah.
But until Gary Gensler is literally sitting in front of Congress answering the tough questions that have to be asked, right? Then we see nothing.
Very, very true. I want to state this, and shout out to Crypto Mike. I did see this yesterday while the Super Bowl was going on. But he's posting breaking: U.S. Ohio River, a water source for 10% of the U.S. population, is contaminated with vinyl chloride, a deadly chemical. I mean, some people are calling this like a mini black swan event. It's whatever the case be, non-crypto related. It's a horrible, horrible thing. This is the whole thing that happened in Flint, Michigan is one thing. This is huge. Absolutely huge. I do have something in regards to this. If you guys want to just take a brief moment to see this, I'm going to go ahead and share this. I know it's kind of a little bit different compared to a regular format. Mike, of course, posted about this yesterday as well. It says, this is a massive life-altering event going on right now. Please pay attention. I have been. And if anything, I think there's a particular video on this. I don't have it at the moment. I thought I did. But anyway, maybe somebody has it for me. Yeah. Oh, shoot. There's an active shooter in Michigan as well. Jeez. That's horrible. A lot of bad news happening. Anyway, you can find this anywhere in regards to this particular thing. It shows, I think there was a train derailment or something blew up, and it caused all of this to go in the atmosphere. Got into the water supply. It sucks all around. Very, very horrible thing. And it's not the only outlets that are really reporting it is some of the local outlets. Now it's starting to finally get on a national stage. But yeah, it's just bad news all around, and it sucks to see these particular things. But I'm going to show you guys just a few more things. We're at the 2-hour mark, so we are going to wrap up the show here in a bit. I do want to welcome a few more people. And unless, Shawnee, you got some more info you want to keep going on in regards to some of this and so on, I'm more than willing to stay. But I just also want to respect your time and respect the time of the people that are here.
No, I think I covered everything I wanted to. So yeah, I'm good.
All right, let me go ahead and just read a few more comments. McDissel says the Ohio River supplies water to the parts of Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Illinois. Yeah, it's horrible. Coochie Boy says, surely don't miss working around chlorine and vinyl chloride. Coochie Boy says, have you guys seen the protests in Amsterdam and Africa regards CBDCs? I have not seen it yet. I will have to take more of a deeper dive into that. Thanks for reporting that, Coochie Boy. Calvin states, welcome, Calvin, by the way. I think too many people have positions in crypto for the SEC to be overthrown, politicians included. That's a very, very good point. Want to welcome Cody Core. Thanks for being here. Coochie Boy also says, with a national debt of $31 trillion, U.S. has to protect the dollar at all costs. Very good point. Is it true they can't find a record from all the UFOs that were shot down? Man, or the government doesn't want us to know all the official stuff, right?
Yeah, and I'll throw my 2 cents on that one, and
Sure.
This is just my 2 cents. Well, they already have obviously footage of that one large balloon that clearly had some sort of reconnaissance type equipment on it, and they are verifying that stuff wasn't weather related, right? It was they're gathering.
I
data
did see that. Yeah, I heard
they can,
about
which
that, yeah.
To me seems crazy. China has satellites, right? So why the low tech? Are they just egging us on at this point, just saying, well, what are you guys going to do about it? But
diverting our attention. What about diverting it like a distraction, right? Like
sure.
it's a yeah. So
it could be. And the other ones I think they've identified as balloons of some type, right? One was a balloon like object that had strings, hanging from it. So maybe it had a payload at some point. Maybe it fell off, whatever. But I think most of this stuff is probably just balloons. And why are they attacking balloons right now? The three later ones after that huge first one we're basically in where planes fly. So, I mean, I can see from a safety standpoint, but these balloons have been flying up there for years, right? That's what NORAD did is after the initial balloon, they decided they needed to turn their radar. They needed to adjust it to find smaller objects because normally it's not tracking things like that. Usually it's tracking airplanes, fighter jets, bombers, missiles, stuff that are traveling really fast, and that are fairly large. So they readjusted the radar, and now they can see a lot more the smaller items, which they don't generally want to see because that takes up too much of their time and their bandwidth. So I think that's the case here. Probably an overreaction, but I don't, aliens, not, I highly doubt that.
Okay, fair enough. Before we wrap it up completely, I just want to show you guys one last thing, and that is basically. There's a lot of talk about, of course, this regulatory backlash that will lead to more DeFi and offshore crypto. I was originally going to share this particular article in regards to this, but we did talk about this earlier. And with that said, I think not necessarily overnight, but here soon, some people are still going to have the attitude like, I want to take advantage of staking, whether you're for that or not, that's just a reality, right? So I believe that there's going to be platforms that stand out. And of course, I've been consistent with this. I feel as though like one that really stands out for me is KuCoin. All right. Now, I'm not going to state for anybody get into this. I'm not stating, anything like that. You, of course, do your own research, not financial advice and so on. Right. But there is this right here. I'm going to present this to you for you can see it. I have talked about this before. This right here is called POL. Proof of liquidity. I covered this long before I joined up with Larry here at Crypto Talk Now. Right, this is strictly a utility token. They have zero community, and when I say zero community, zero. There's nothing. All right, but when 2021 happened, this basically went to like all-time highs by the end of the year. Around the same time of Bitcoin, Ethereum at its all-time highs, roughly like 11.11 and so on. There's something to be said about this because I'm paying more of a closer eye and attention to this for the reasons of kind of like the concept of a lot of cryptos, right? Supply and demand. So if a lot of people are going to be forced out of the United States, if you will, to find other places where they're not going to get hit with a bunch of red tape that they have to go to do staking, obviously, then like I mentioned, KuCoin definitely stands out. Now, this is called POL, proof of liquidity. I do happen to hold some of this. I may consider buying a second bag, especially if we get more doom and gloom and the market tanks more. If this drops down to, like, for instance, a penny even, or even maybe just slightly under what it is right now, I may get a second bag of this. I want to show you just something. So when staking was really rampant late 2021 for KuCoin, this did pretty well. And if anything, it had all-time highs at 55 cents. And there's something to be said here. Like this guy's particular comment, right? He said this late December, right? I'll blow it up. So it says POL 100x. KuCoin will need this in the future for staking rewards. Again, think about it, guys. Think about the topic of tonight. Staking rewards. If you believe in the future of KuCoin, you have to believe this token will move. And that's the way I look at it. I know a lot of times we want to pay attention to certain gems. I'm not guaranteeing this is going to be a gem, but I'm also looking at it from the perspective of that risk to reward ratio. This is becoming more and more attractive for me at these particular price levels. I know some of you guys throw money at, certain meme tokens and so on. You kind of consider it like your justification of not being able to go to Reno or Vegas or Atlantic City or wherever you're from. Take a look into this. Again, not telling you what to do, but there's something to be said about this. Because like, for instance, with Jasmy, Jasmy is a nice risk to reward ratio one that's out there. And I also want to state this, don't expect anything to happen overnight with this, but man, if a lot of people start going over to KuCoin based off of everything that's happening, I think you're going to see something happen with this. Not much is happening currently speaking. The volume is only 172,000, but man, when the light was, the lights were being turned on like crazy, and this was lit up like a Christmas tree in 2021. I remember that. And yeah, this thing kicks in, and you will see some price action. It could tank further down. I don't know, but I'm going to pay more closer attention to this. All right. With that said, I'm going to basically just read the last few comments. We're going to also give a plug for Sean one last time. I meant to do it on the middle part of the show. Sorry about that, Sean.
That's no problem.
Cody Core's in the house. He says maybe it's the Biden administration tricky game. And if anything, I know this is to Crypto McDizzle. I see BTC Pay looking up. Coochie Boy Facts. All right. Let me go ahead and highlight that. I want to show you guys this one more time. The Crypto Smith. I'm going to bring up his particular page. I know we had Chaka's up earlier. Shout out to Chaka once again. And here it is. And if anything, please help our fellow brother co-host here of Utility Talk Now on Mondays. Maybe tick up to 1.59. But here's his channel. You can find it on YouTube. It's just the space Crypto Smith. Subscribe to him. Again, like I mentioned, he does live shows. His next live show on, by himself is this coming Saturday. He does it every week. It's called Straight Talk. Before I kick it more into some of this other stuff we got in regards to like Wednesday show with us, is there anything specific that you think you're going to talk about this coming Saturday for your live stream of Straight Talk, Sean?
I'm probably going to go. It depends on what happens tomorrow in the market, right? And we're going to see CPI data. So I'm probably going to kind of stick with the regulation type and staking information that's going on that we're seeing every day, unless something pops off about XRP and XLM or Ethereum. But those I think are kind of slow moving information at this point. And the market overall, the financial system overall, and regulation and enforcement actions are pretty much on the forefront of everybody's mind. So
right.
I'll probably stick with that. Of course, I'll do some MMAI because that's I need to get into that. And then if anybody has suggestions for me, please leave them in a comment. If there's something you'd like me to review, if it's in the realm of what we generally talk about, then I'm more than happy to do it. I still got to get caught up on things like Jasmine. I know you've really been covering it, and I have not yet. So that's awesome. Something I'm going to cover. And then Corium. I know Corium was of interest lately as well. And that's something I'll probably put together a video on and do a little review on that as well.
Yeah, in regards to Jasmine, I got this one futter who keeps coming after me. It's ridiculous. I just keep ignoring him. Like he's egging me on. So I don't even know if he might even be watching the live show. That's about as much as he's going to get from me. But anyway, yeah, he where the heck is? I'll just share this real quick. I just want people to have a quick idea of, if you're a content creator and you get enough traction, you catch, I guess you could say, get some things going. You can become, I guess you could say, a victim. Not really a victim, but you'll get the attention of some people who are flutters. So there's two particular flutters. One from Quant. He posts this in the recorded section. If anything, I actually kind of thank him because he kind of gets our algorithm going, right? But there's this guy, and he's been at me since yesterday. He's like, his name is End All to Be All, and I looked at his channel, and it's just constant, or channel, his Twitter, nonstop FUD about Jasmine. So he's just like still waiting for that proof from the Toyota Motor Corp that they are partnered with Jasmine Software Core and they're investing anyway on Jasmine Crypto. Go ahead, I'll wait. It's just like, okay, maybe if you would have asked nicely, I would have been able to provide you that particular information. But this whole thing that like I owe this guy something or anybody anything, I don't owe you squat. All right, I don't owe you jack diddly squat. Now, if he would have been like somebody that wants to have an ejectable back and forth conversation and show a little bit of dignity and respect, then that would have been a different thing. But as a result, this guy gets what? He gets the crickets. And this is all I'm going to say about that. That this is the most attention he'll even get even as we speak. Anyway, that's just some of the crap I got to put up with lately. But anyway.
Well, as digital asset investor usually says, if you're getting a lot of FUD and people are trying to rattle your cage, that usually means you're over the target.
Yeah, I guess we're doing something good. So I'm getting the attention of some of those guys. But guys, I want to just read two more comments and we're going to wrap up the show. Crypto McDizzle says USTC is up like 30%. That would be, you know what? Sorry, I did say we're going to wrap things up. How about this? Let's pull that up real quick. And that would be the former stablecoin. And it is up 30%. There's something to be said about that. Not too shabby. Here it is for those guys that are into LUNC Classic like myself and so on, or if you hold both USTC. It is up close to that. Not too bad. Wow, look at that volume, 576%. We do have a confirmed market cap of 336 million. Not too shabby. Thanks for reporting on that. Very, very interesting. And on top of that, let's see. We have Cody Core says, or maybe not so tricky. Biden trying to distract us from something. Okay.
Everything's a distraction if you let it be.
Yeah. Well, Sean, I think this has been a great convo tonight. If anything, I think we did have a conversation tonight instead of just like, and yeah, Sean, what do you think? I know I did a few times, but yeah, I'll give you the last word, my friend.
So I just like to say you were probably wrong more than I was. So there's that, right? Can we agree on that? No, I'm joking.
Even if you weren't joking, you know how many times I've been wrong on a lot of things? That's okay. I could take it.
You know what? That's one of those things you have to, like, if you get on a platform like this and you throw your face out there and you got, people can fire shots back at you. So you have to be okay with being wrong. Like, and sometimes you might get the wrong information. You might interpret it the wrong way. Somebody might hear it the wrong. Who knows? But being wrong, you have to embrace, right? So, and I do that. I have very thick skin, right? It doesn't bother me even the least. Even Triple C out there, kind of giving me crap. It totally fine. Totally get it. I enjoy the interaction, honestly. So I do appreciate being here again the second week. I think it was very good. I like the style that we kind of put together tonight, and hopefully we'll do it again next time. But I don't know what else to say. I hope everybody out there is doing well. I really am looking forward to tomorrow to seeing what the market is really going to do. Is it going to be a Valentine's Day massacre, or is Shibarium going to get released? And Shibarium's going to go to 1 penny. Who knows?
Or is Larry going to be right at exactly 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? You're not going to want to miss it. For more Crypto Talk Now.
Yes, indeed.
So with that said, everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. If we missed your comment, it wasn't on purpose. We tried our best to get into most of them. We just didn't want to turn it into like a 3 or 4 hour long show. As you guys know, I do some of that stuff, and even with me, I have to admit, it's kind of rough around the edges after a while. But anyway, been a pleasure again to be here with you tonight, Sean. And of course, I'm just going to read this last one from GS. Thank you, of course, GS, Brian, Cody, all you guys for being here for the good times and bad of Crypto Talk Now and going into the future.
Appreciate the support. Appreciate I really do. Yeah.
More than glad to do it. So, guys, tune in tomorrow for Crypto Talk Now, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I will be putting out something tonight to address the whole thing with the Alliance block. Be on the lookout for more, particularly recorded content and so on. And if anything, I will state this before we leave, and that is we might have a taste of the game show on Wednesday, possibly. So, yeah, Sean, bring your A game. You're going to be hit with some particular questions, right? Like utility tokens, memes, all that stuff. So we already tested it out early. It was pretty fun. But yeah, it's been a great show, guys. I'm not going to keep you. And I really appreciate all you guys, the reporting, the community that we have here, Nigerian government forcing their people to use CBDCs. Jeez. But we'll see you tomorrow. Over and out for now. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Appreciate it.